Well, what's happening, folks? It is episode 47, and tonight we have our first ever round two, round three draft night show. So last night it was very intriguing as far as what happened during the draft. I think it's probably one of the better drafts we've seen in many, many years. And Howie Roseman finally, as Fuji will join us later on because he's still on assignment. I believe he was cleaning up Lincoln Financial Field, if I remember correctly. So he'll be joining us a little bit later on. But Howie finally did his homework as he should have. We got what we did. What we wanted was a wide receiver. And Nick, myself, and Sherman will be breaking it down. Ryan Neff will be joining us a little bit later on from his location. I believe he will be at Lakeside Bar and Grill. I'm not too sure, but that's from what we understand. But it should be a fun, action-packed night. We have Michael Terrazas from the Indianapolis Colts. We have Pollo from the Kansas City Chiefs. And also Rough Cup Sportscast, which they're right now ending their show here momentarily. They'll be joining us at 10 o'clock. We'll be having Chris Sack from the Green Legion. He'll be on. Also, Just Joe from Cleveland, and I don't know if he's going to be actually at the site, but it'd be pretty fun to talk to Just Joe. So a lot going on tonight. We hope to have a great show. Thank you for joining us. We'll get the show underway here, and I don't know. We'll see. Eagles seem like right now they did a pretty good job in round two, but it's to be put up for a discussion. So we'll be looking forward to the comments. Of course, Asante Samuel was available. Eagles didn't go with them. So we'll bring on our next two guys. We'll start the show. So I am Angel. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is Broad Street South. And as I stated before, of course, Fuji will be on just in a little bit. So we'll look forward to seeing Fuji. But of course, I cannot do the show without this other gentleman, the guru, the professor, Mike Sherman. And here he is to save the day. It is Mike Sherman. Mike, how are you this evening?
I am doing fantastic. Happy Friday to everyone who's watching. Hope you're doing well.
This should be a lot of fun. At least I believe that it should be tons of fun. And by the way, I know and I see the comments that are coming in. The fun part is going to be here is that I believe our young beat writer, who apparently partied so much with Trevor Lawrence and crew last night that he looks like he just came straight out of the bar, wrinkles and all. It is our beat writer, Nick Lisi. Nick, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. I unfortunately could not get into the Trevor Lawrence draft party. I am not cool enough, but I'm happy to be here. Officially done as a freshman in college, and we move forward. So, glad to be here.
Hey, that's all right, though. At least as long as you had fun, that was the most important thing. So hopefully you did. Hopefully you enjoyed yourself. Everyone else as well, whoever went out with you last night. So did you guys get into anything major? And I'm assuming you're back home now?
Yeah, so I'm in Raleigh right now. Drove 4 hours, 4 and some change, and got to see my family. Got to have dinner with my family for the first time in about 2 months. So it's nice to be back. And I'm glad to watch the rest of this draft, and I'm glad Trevor and Travis are going to be playing in Jacksonville together next year. So it's going to be good stuff.
Yes, it should be. So, and I see the comments that are coming in already. So let me get to a couple of them here as we get into the show. Ducky, how are you? And he says that I knew everything would go. I'm assuming after Asante Samuels Jr., somebody else will take them. I knew everything. I'm trying to get to the other part there, Ducky, but I kind of somewhat understand exactly what you're saying there.
Yeah, basically what he's saying is that Asante Samuel Jr. was on the board for the Eagles with their selection, and they decided to not take him, and then somebody else took him, and that's just the way it's going to go. And we'll definitely get into it with the Eagles taking Landon Dickerson with that second-round pick on the offensive side of the ball. We'll definitely get into that.
Also, David, I got to switch a couple screens here before I forget a couple things here. But David, hello, how are you out there from Boston? And David, by the way, did you like what surprisingly enough, what the Patriots did, something that Bill Belichick hasn't been known to do? So I believe it's Mac Jones, if I remember correctly, the quarterback that he took in New England. So, David, I'd like to know how you feel about your quarterback pick. Fuji, I'm working and watching. Yeah, Fuji, I know that. Good Lord, dude. I gave away the perfect. Once again, Fuji, you're killing me, son. I said you were down the link and you're telling people that you're working. Oh, dear God. Anyways, he'll be joining us later on. Thanks, Fuji. I appreciate it. But David once again says Nick is holding up well. And listen, Nick is a party animal. I know he's home, so we got to watch it because the parents might be watching. There was tons of strippers from what we understand. All this stuff that was going on, but it's all right.
Whoa.
It's a joke. It's a joke, and we know it. But no, he was having a great time last night as his freshman night. We, of course, like to joke around, so it's for real. But we're glad that Nick actually was able to enjoy his freshman year, as now you get – Nick, you only have what, about I would say a week off, because I know you start a new job here momentarily. So I know you're off, but not off.
Yeah. So I'll be home for 6 weeks, and then I'm going back to Clemson. And be working a job there. So, yeah, I guess it's like a half summer really, but it's exciting. I'm going to get paid. I'm going to have a good time, practice some leadership skills. So it should be good.
No, that is good. That's definitely good. Dougie says, thank you for fixing my mistake. I meant to say if the Eagles get a pick of Asante Samuel Jr., that someone else will take them. And so thanks to – that's why he's the professor, because the professor he spits out this knowledge without a problem whatsoever. So thank you to the professor with the good job that he did there. Before we get a lot of things underway here, let me come back up, because this would be the time to talk about our friends and the ones who love to pay the bills around here, which is Fans of Philly. If you guys are looking to travel to a Phillies game, which they're going up to Boston, they're also going to New York. And if you guys want to travel Fans of Philly, by all means, reach out to Joe at fansofphilly.com, or you can call him at 610-517-7171, 610-517-7171. And again, send email to Joe at fansofphilly.com. Book your trip today. Of course, we know that the schedule will be coming out very shortly. I believe it's May 18th or somewhere around there, where they'll have the definite dates and times. So if you're looking to travel to Atlanta, Denver, and or Vegas with the Eagles, by all means, book through fansofphilly.com. That's fansofphilly.com, and they put on a great, great vacation package from what I understand. So if you feel like traveling like a champion, definitely travel with Fans of Philly, with fansofphilly.com. So other thing I want to mention as well with the Green Legion, Chris Sack should be on with us, and as I told him I would mention it, tomorrow they're going to be on 102.5 Fox Sports and Gambler on Saturdays from 1 to 3. I know they were taping tonight, so that should be a fun show tomorrow. It'll be a good listen. So again, 102.5 Fox Sports and Gambler tomorrow from 1 to 3. This Sunday, they have the baseball brunch from 11 to noon. And if you guys missed it last week, they had a great conversation about Jake DeGrom. And if you guys missed the show, yes, you can hear on the replay. But the fun part is, if you don't want to listen on the radio, watch it on Twitter, because you get to see all the behind the stuff scenes that you normally can't hear or can't see, on the radio. So again, it's a baseball brunch show from 11 to noon. That also will be on 102.5 Fox Sports. And then they go into Green Legion Radio from noon to 2 to break down all things with the draft, along with Chris Sack, Quimby, and Hollis Thomas. So it's a big weekend. Those guys plan on having a lot of fun. And Chris should be on with us here momentarily, so we look forward to talking to him. I also see a couple more comments that are coming in. Ducky David says, I think Mac was a good choice. Should be interested to see how things work. And I agree. I think it's the first time in a long time that, you look at obviously Tom Brady down here at Tampa Bay, but it's something that I think New England definitely needed. And I'm really surprised that Bill Belichick went with, I don't know if it's gut or whatever it was, but I know once again, in Bill Belichick form, when they asked him the question, it was just, that's who he went with. No smiles, all business. So, but that's New England. That's just the way they work. Dougie says, just bear with me when I'm trying to write stuff. I tend to go to get my stuff mixed up. Hey, listen, Dougie, no worries. It happens.
No worries.
Exactly. Part of the Shermanator crew. Hey, guys, is the name of the new Eagle pronounced Devontae or Devonta? So it's Davonte Smith. Devontae. Tucky says, my words get mixed up sometimes, so just bear with me. I'm trying to write. No problem. And Bill says, what the hell is a second pick injury prone? Well, unfortunately, Bill, they had to go somewhere, and I guess that's what they decided to go with. I want to say kind of not surprising when it comes to Howie. Asante Samuel was there, and I guess Sherman we can kind of get into a little bit before I show our first pick of the draft last night. But again, Asante Samuel Jr. was available. Eagles decided to go to the O-line and take care of business. But I think somebody put out there on Twitter not so long ago what kind of grade they would give him. It's A, B, C, and or combined DF. I think I gave him a C for the most part. But then again, I'm not too I guess knowledgeable as far as when it comes to Landon, but as Bill stated, he is kind of injury prone. So I'm kind of wondering, how do you feel with that second pick that the Eagles did in round 2?
Well, the current offensive line that the Eagles have is not going to last forever. So the pick that they made was certainly a depth pick. But with the Eagles having so many holes in the defensive side of the ball, you would have thought that they would have went with defense. And here's the thing that's concerning to me. So Howie Roseman decided to go with not one but 2 players from Alabama. And this reminds me of the novice fantasy football player who only takes players who were on teams who were in the Super Bowl the previous year because of the fact that those teams made the Super Bowl. And even though those players are on winning teams, that doesn't automatically equate into greatness. And I almost feel that Howie Roseman has not done enough of his research. He wasn't going to make a mistake with Davonte Smith. He was the Heisman Trophy winner, one of 3 wide receivers ever to win the award, if I'm not mistaken. But now all of a sudden it gets to the second round, and I almost feel like he got exposed a little bit. Yes, he got an offensive line. He'll be able to sell it as Jason Kelsey's not going to be around forever. Lane Johnson's not going to be around forever, and he's dealing with some injuries. So let's give him some time to heal up and be ready for the second wave that comes in. Hey, what did you want me to do? Like I gave. We drafted this guy because it's somebody who Jalen Hurts is going to feel comfortable with from Alabama. But I almost feel like Howie could have done a better job by finding somebody who's not necessarily on a team that played for the national championship last year. There's a lot of other colleges out there, and there's a lot of other strong players.
That is exactly true. Nick, I'd like to get your input on it as well.
Yeah, so fourth major surgery in 5 years. It just doesn't sound great. But I do like the pick. He's the highest ranked player at the center spot. You probably slide him over to guard because Jason Kelsey is going to be there for a couple more years. But the kid's a gamer, what Nick Sirianni said. He looks for toughness, and for a guy to go 4 surgeries in 5 years like that, that's tough. That's toughness right there.
And he probably threw rock.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm comfortable with this. I think the Eagles made a good pick with Landon Dickerson. If it wasn't for the injuries, I mean, he'd be a first-round pick. So, I kind of like the risk here, and they have so much draft capital in 2022 anyway. Isn't that what we always talk about? This year's kind of a dead year anyway. So, I mean, I kind of like the selection of Landon Dickerson here. By the way, Kellen Mond just went 3rd round pick 2 to the Vikings. That's kind of big. They're not big in Kirk Cousins, but anyway.
Yeah. No, that's true, and I completely forgot actually as we're going around the NFL. So, Ducky, as you say, bear with you when you're writing. Bear with us as we will just go all around the draft here. So it'll be Eagles and then everybody else. But I forgot all about today until it was mentioned. As Sam Darnold, of course, went out to Carolina, and again we saw the draft pick last night for the New York Jets. They went with the quarterback. Not a surprise there, but I think Sam Darnold, which within all the mix and everything else that's going on, I think he's a good fit for Carolina. I think he'll do a lot better there. I think he'll have a better support staff. Again, you got a new head coach, obviously your former Temple coach who's down here in Carolina. So he went through it the first year with Teddy Bridgewater, and now you're starting off with Sam Darnold here, your second year. So I think for Sam Darnold, it was a good move. I know he wanted to stay in New York. New York had other plans like New York Jets always end up doing. So we'll see. I think it'll be quite amazing. Nick, I don't know how much you follow your Panthers there from being back home, but What do you say as far as when it comes to your boy going down there to Carolina?
I like the move for Sam Darnold. Matt Rule really liked Sam Darnold for a while now, so I like the fit. And Carolina, they picked up some weapons. They drafted Terrence Marshall Jr. out of LSU, who played for the national title team back in 2019 with Joe Burrow. And I really like the Panthers' first-round pick. They picked up J.C. Horn, arguably the best corner in this draft. So I think Carolina's got a great future, and they've got some great pieces around Sam Darnold to help him succeed.
Good job. Listen, before I get to Sherman here, because then we're going to, again, switch back over to the Eagles. We have tonight, just for Nick. Now, again, we were goofed around earlier that we said there were strippers there. Mr. and Mrs. Lisi, that is a complete joke. Please do not hold anything against them. It's a complete joke. But he does not know that we actually have an actual real stripper coming on with us right now. And it is the best one that money can buy. And there's our home stripper, Ryan Neff. Ryan, how are you?
Really help. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Loud and clear.
Vaguely, but yeah, I think there's more noise than we can hear you, but vaguely, sure.
Well, just put, I found the mute button. I found the mute button on this laptop, so if you need me to mute it, I can mute it. So yeah, but no, I'm not sure.
You're all good.
Right.
Tell
No
us what's the
problem.
atmosphere like in there. What's the atmosphere like in there? Give us a scenery.
It's like maybe half packed. We got a band outside in a tent, and that's where most of the crowd is at. I forgot what time the draft started today because I had all kinds of stuff going on today. But they're already on pick 67, and I don't even know who took who, so I'm way out of the loop. I'm gonna have to try and get caught up. But I wanted to put Nick's brain here about how about the Clemson connection in Jacksonville now, boss?
Yeah, I like it. I kind of like it. And Jacksonville, they picked up a corner here in the second round, and they picked up a safety in the third. But I like Trevor and Travis. Reuniting in Jacksonville, playing for Urban Meyer. It was definitely a premeditated thing that they did. But I like Trevor and Travis together. I don't think Travis starts like Trevor does, but I like the connection, and I think on third down situations, that can be a great connection to have for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Real quickly, Angel, I just wanted to say, I don't know why I stayed up for the whole draft last night, but I did stay up for the whole draft, and for me, the steal of the first round, and I don't know if Nick agrees with me because we're both the college football group, the juniors here. So Pittsburgh Steelers taking Najee Harris is an absolute steal. I am surprised he fell that far, and I just think that Steelers need a running back to letting Connor go and whatnot. They didn't really have a solid running back. They are going to plug Najee Harris in right away, and the kid is like what was I talking about last night with some Pittsburgh Steelers fans? He is a little bit smaller version of Derrick Henry.
Wow. Well, I'm not as high on that pick, and it's not because of Najee Harris. I think Najee Harris is an elite player, like you said, but the Steelers' offensive line has gotten worse since last year, and I think they're going to have a hard time blocking for him. And I think because of that, Najee is going to struggle early. So the Steelers really need some O-line help, and they're going to try to get in this draft here so that Najee can actually have some holes to run.
Yeah, I'm going to say that the steal of the draft in the first round was Rashawn Slater to the Los Angeles Chargers at pick number 13. Think about the numbers that Justin Herbert put up last year, and now you're going to put a guy like Slater in there to be able to protect him a little bit more. Watch out for the Chargers this year. They could have a big year. Not putting them in the Super Bowl yet, but look for major improvement from them.
Right. Yeah, I 100% agree. Slater is the second best tackle in this draft. And he got past Denver, he got past Philly, he got past Chicago, and he got past Dallas. So great pickup. I was almost a little surprised Dallas didn't try to take him at 12 since there were no receivers on the board or corners. But yeah, the Chargers are going to have a guy that can stick in there and be a stable guy for about 10 years. So great pick for Slater.
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to read off a comment here before we get into more stuff. Dougie says, who do you think the Eagles should draft next? And I say go draft a safety to help out the secondary. That's where we got killed because no NFL team is running on the Eagles. The only way you're going to beat the Eagles is by throwing the ball. I'll get Ryan's comment here. Ryan, did you see the question?
You know what? Did they even put early in the second round ago? Like I said, I'm trying to get up to date. I'm just trying to. So the Eagles picked in the first round, obviously. Is the second pick coming up, or did they already pick? Or did they already have it?
The Eagles.
They picked.
The Eagles picked.
What did they take?
Landon Dickerson. Center, Alabama.
Yeah, lineman from Alabama. So they decided to give another piece to protect Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
so, they're building for the future. For everybody watching the show, when the Philadelphia Eagles go 6-11, remember there's 17 games next year for all you math majors out there. 6 plus 11 is 17, right? When the Eagles go 6-11 next year, I don't want to hear people complaining about it because of the fact that we need to understand that this is a rebuild year. There are so many holes that the Eagles need to fix at this point.
Pick an offensive lineman because now he's going to mute.
Go ahead.
Okay, I thought you needed me. So what I have on my list here from the pundits, supposed experts, they obviously took their wide receiver in the first round, which is the primary need. Offensive line, from what I was seeing, is pundits at a secondary. The other primary needs I'm looking at for the Eagles, they're saying tight end, cornerback, and safety is what I'm seeing. So we'll see what the Eagles do here. We don't know what's going to happen with Ertz yet, if they're going to trade him, if they can get for him. So what I'm seeing is either tight end or secondary.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would go secondary. They got to start filling in those pieces at some point. And it looks like the Eagles have the 9th pick of the third round. It looks like they made a trade. I'm not sure who they made a trade with, but it looks like they made a trade to move down a couple spots in the third round. So I don't know what they got in return.
Dougie said he had mentioned it earlier. He said he just traded the 70th pick to the Panthers.
Okay, so they're at 73 now. Is what I am reading, if that is correct.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing as well.
Okay, perfect. Well, did you guys just see that Kellen Mond and Davis Mills just went back-to-back quarterbacks? Do you think in Houston, Davis Mills might start because Deshaun's not going to play? Do you think that's a real possibility?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, it's a mess. It's a mess out in Houston right now. So, anything is possible. And the bold prediction that I have made, and I'll probably mention this again when the rough cut comes on the show in about 20 minutes or so, I think Jacksonville Jaguars will be at the top of that division within 3 years. I think Derrick Henry in 3 years from now will be on the decline. Not next year, not the year after. 3 years from now, you know what happens to running backs in this league. Wear and tear. They rely on them too much. They'll start to go down. Indy with Wentz, who knows what's going to happen, right? I think Jacksonville is on the way up. And, Brian, I know that you're not in agreement with this. You're not a fan of Urban Meyer coaching that team. And personally, I never got to chime in on the Travis Etienne pick at the end of the first round. Quality back, but I think it was a little bit too high. I don't think that he should have been picked in the first round, but I guess they wanted Trevor Lawrence, the golden boy, to feel comfortable with somebody who he's familiar with.
Right, you want to respond? You're on.
Who took Mond?
The Vikings took Mond at 66.
All right, so basically what that tells me is the Kirk Cousins experiment is over, and they're looking to the future. I'm actually surprised that Kirk Cousins is still there. He's making money. He's making money off that contract. I mean, he got the better of the deal. And,
right.
That just tells me if he doesn't step up to the plate this year, don't be too surprised if they plug Mond in at some point.
That's the problem.
Mond he's got legs, he can run, he's got a decent arm. If anybody saw him play the last couple of years at A&M, the kid can play. He's not on the upper echelon of quarterback, but he's a serviceable quarterback. And, I'm going to call it right now. If Kirk Cousins doesn't step up to the plate and the Vikings are, let's say, 2-3 after 5 games, I'd be surprised if the Vikings give the kid a chance.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is who's going to take on that contract for Cousins. It's a lot of money that he's owed. I think it's like $60 million or $66 million. It's a lot of money. And, to find a team who's going to take on that contract is not going to be the easiest thing in the world to do.
Exactly. I mean, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of moving pieces that a lot of NFL teams are going to end up doing this year. I mean, we still yet to see what DCU. I mean, who knows what kind of surprise that maybe Ron Rivera has there at DCU. Haven't heard too much. I don't believe in the first round they had any picks whatsoever. I believe here in the second round they have it. Let me bring this back up here momentarily because I do believe if I bring that up, the draft order here in the second round, there's DCU has a 51st pick. So that'd be the first time we'll hear from DCU. So it'd be interesting to see how and what they end up doing. I know they're obviously in search of I'm assuming, I would think, to be on the safe side, it would be looking for another quarterback because, again, you got Ryan Fitzpatrick there or Fitzmagic, whichever way you want to call him. He's there in DCU, but who's to say he finished up the whole entire year? I don't know who you're going to have as the current backup, I believe, because whatever the other kid's name, obviously was a starting quarterback. Yeah. So he's your backup, at least for the moment. And then they had the other kid who got himself into a little bit of hot water. Obviously, they took away the C, and then he finally got rid of him. And I forgot who ended up. Someone else gave him a second chance, but and I don't remember. That's who it was.
Steelers signed him for a 1-year deal.
Yeah, but I don't think. But Nick, they didn't pick him back up though, if I remember correctly.
No, that I'm not sure. But Washington took in the second round. They took Samuel Cosme, offensive tackle, Texas. They took him with the 51st pick.
And they did take an inside linebacker with pick number 19 in the first round, Jamin Davis from Kentucky.
Yes,
which I'll be honest, I don't know anything about the guy, but
right.
Played at an SEC school and gives some defensive depth, which will definitely help.
Yeah. Washington needs some linebackers, so it's a good pick.
I know. Again, last night we're looking at with probably one of the better drafts, and I know it's kind of hard with Ryan. I'm going to kind of mute his mic in, mute his mic out, unfortunately, because he is. When you're away from home, unfortunately, the studio sound that you get when you're home is a whole different story. But unfortunately, he is on the road, and so we will hear a lot more noise than we actually hear from Ryan itself. So that's Ryan. That's kind of the reason why I'm muting you and then bring you back when you get ready to answer. So for those who couldn't hear, he said that's fine, no worries, that's fine. Again, the draft started out last night, pretty good overall. Of course, it doesn't go without the great NFL commissioner getting booed as he usually does. I guess maybe he went to Cleveland and thought, well, a year away from everybody, I shouldn't get booed. That's not the way it started. So good start to the draft last night. Again, I think the Jets, definitely Chicago, a big surprise there. We're taking Justin Fields, which we'll get into it, I guess, a little bit later as well. It's kind of surprising to me. Good that he chose Justin Fields, don't get me wrong, but it's almost like going back to Mitch Trubisky. They chose Mitch Trubisky, and I believe at the time, I can't remember exactly who the starting quarterback was, but it was almost the same pattern. You have your starter, now you got the kid you pull out from the draft. You wait until the second year to make things happen. To me, if you're rebuilding, if you're the Bears, why not start with Justin Fields and have Andy as your backup? But the Bears already stated that Andy will be the starting quarterback, which to me, I'm sorry, I think the redheaded stepchild should not be there, not as your starting position. To me, it should be Justin Fields, and Andy can coach him along the way. If something happens to Fields, then sure, then you bring in your primary veteran. But I don't believe it should be Andy Dalton. So, Ryan, I'll unmute you here. Hopefully you got to hear the question, but what are your thoughts as far as the Bears starting Andy over Justin Fields, their last night draft pick?
Well, look, guys, I said this last night. Other than Trevor Lawrence, I'm not sold on any of the quarterbacks other than Trevor Lawrence. It's going to be some of the same situation as some of the other teams. If Andy Dalton struggles early, and again, let's say the Bears start off 1-3 or 1-4, then they're going to plug Fields in at some point. They're not just going to draft somebody like that if they're that high on the kid and Dalton struggles, which he probably will. They will probably wind up playing Fields at some point. Now, to say what you want about Dalton, he's got the experience. He's a 12-year vet, 11 years. I can't remember how long he's been in the league now. But that's the only reason probably why they've come out and said that. He's probably going to be on a short leash, to be quite honest with you. So, again, other than Lawrence, these other guys, and they were talking about it today, Justin Fields couldn't cut it at Georgia behind Jake Fromm. He went to Ohio State where there was no quarterback competition. He looked at Destiny at the time last year. Zach Wilson for the Jets. Again, the competition was weak. So, and then Matt Jones for Alabama. Look at the team he had around him. It sort of reminds me of the situation that Matt Leinart was in for USC. So that whole team that Matt Leinart had around him made him look fantastic. The team that Mark Sanchez had around him in USC made him look fantastic. So just because some of these guys look great with the team around them, they might not equate to the NFL. So, as far as Justin Fields goes, again, Andy Dalton's going to be on a short leash. And I think at some point Justin Fields will play.
Okay. Well, let me shove him down here for a second. Nick, your thoughts as far as what the Bears did?
Yeah, I personally I like Justin Fields. I rank him third of the five quarterbacks, the top. I think Trevor Lawrence is definitely better, and I think Trey Lance. I'm really liking Trey Lance. More and more I hear about him. But yeah, I think I'm curious if the Bears actually had to trade up to get him. I wonder if they had waited, because it didn't seem like any team was really looking to get another quarterback. And I'm curious who else would have even bothered taking him. But I think Justin Fields will be a great fit for the Bears. I think Matt Nagy's a creative play caller, and I think Matt Nagy wanted a mobile quarterback. Part of the reason why they took Trubisky back in 2017. So I think Justin Fields, I think he's going to succeed. A lot of what Ryan said about the transfer stuff, yes, it's true. He didn't succeed at Georgia, but Joe Burrow didn't succeed at Ohio State. Baker Mayfield didn't succeed at Texas Tech, and Kyler Murray didn't succeed at Texas A&M, and look where they are at now. By the way, the Eagles just picked a defensive tackle, Milton Williams out of Louisiana Tech.
Yep. Saw that one. So, Sherman, your thoughts briefly here on the Chicago move?
So Justin Fields is playing in a cold weather city, so I don't think that that's going to affect him at all, and he's just going to hold the clipboard for a while Big Red Andy Dalton throws the ball out there in Chicago for a little bit. I've never been an Andy Dalton fan, even when he played for Cincinnati for all of those years.
Right.
That's just my opinion of it. But the real winner in that trade is the New York Football Giants, because next year they get the Bears' #1 pick, and the Chicago Bears, they might not make the playoffs next year. I could see the Chicago Bears going 7-10 or something like that in this upcoming year. So, the Giants would get that pick plus their own pick. I don't see the Giants as some juggernaut that's going to go 11-6 or 12-5 in this upcoming year. So look for bigger and better things from the New York Football Giants in the 2022 draft. And that's bad news if you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan.
Sure is. Nick is looking there. Ryan's looking. Ryan,
I'm just trying to get caught up, fellas. That's all I'm doing.
No problem.
Hey, I have a question for the audience. So we're seeing in this draft, and I don't know if this is normal, but we're seeing all these college guys who get drafted team up with the college guy, right? Jalen Hurts, Davonte Smith, Jalen Hurts, Landon Dickerson, Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. Do you guys like that they're doing that? Do you think it's just luck? Do you think it's premeditated? Tell me what you think about this. Let's take the guys who are in the pros and match them with their college teammates.
I think it's the diva mentality of the National Football League, to be honest. How does the Cincinnati Bengals, we talked about this last night, how did the Cincinnati Bengals not take Penei Sewell in that spot last night? They took Jamar Chase because of the fact that Burrow and Chase had the LSU connection. Penei Sewell is going to be a rock on that line for the next 10 to 12 years, with the team that he's playing for. And because of the fact that, it was the sexy pick of let's put two LSU guys together because it worked in the SEC. All because it works in the SEC doesn't mean that it works in the National Football League. I'm sorry. So I'm not a fan of it. Look, the Eagles got Davonte Smith. They didn't have any choice at that point. They were picking at number 10. And I think that the whole Delaware Valley and anybody else who's an Eagles fan would have absolutely flipped if the Eagles made that trade with Dallas from 12 to 10 and ended up taking somebody who wasn't named Devontae Smith, who was Heisman Trophy winner this past year.
Brian, I don't know if you wanted to reply to that one or not.
Sorry, guys. I'm listening to you guys. I'm just trying to get caught up on the second round. I'm already seriously thinking about what are they doing?
Angel, what are your thoughts? Oh, Brian, you want me to repeat my question?
Yeah, please.
What are your thoughts on these NFL teams drafting college teammates to go together, like Trevor and Travis, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Waddle, Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith?
I think in today's age, for some odd reason, there just seems to want familiarity with teammates. To be quite honest with you, I was really shocked that Jacksonville took UPS. But having Lawrence there, it's just a familiarity with, they played together in college. Now you have the Burrow Chase connection, so they don't have to gain that chemistry. You know what I mean? They don't have to gain that chemistry for a year or two The chemistry's already there. Now, Burrow has been separated from Chase for a year, but it's like riding a bike. You pick up where you left off. So it's just today's NFL. It's a new day and age. So yeah, it's just you're gonna see more and more of it going forward. Look, Angel's going to be 50, Serve's going to be 50, I'm going to be 53. The NFL is getting, the old guard is starting to really go away now. So you're going to get different ways of thinking when it comes to the NFL. The guys who are in their 60s, 70s, 80s, that's starting to fade away. And guys like, Urban Meyer is only 4 years older than me. So you're just going to get different ways of thinking, and that's just the direction that the NFL is going.
All right. Well, I'm going to cut it off there for a moment because behind the scenes here, if I bring up the screen here real quick, we have Chris Sack, who I see is waiting in the green room. Chris Sack also from, as I flip the screen here, from probably one of the better radios out there, Green Legion. So part of that nation, also with the baseball brunch. If I covered all my bases, I believe so. So we will bring on right now, as soon as I flip over to the screen here, Chris, how are you? And thank you so much. I know it's kind of last minute. I know you guys were in studio this evening, but thank you so much for coming on with us tonight.
Oh, man, thanks a lot for having me. Appreciate being here with you guys, and looking forward to talking some sports, Phillies, Eagles, whatever you guys want to cover. I'm here for it.
Well, listen, we've yet to introduce our pick here from last night because I was waiting for you to come on. But I will say, referring back to last week, I was just telling the guys and I was telling the viewers out there, if you missed the baseball brunch last week, and I did mention as far as these shows, when you guys are be coming on, you'll be back on again this week from 11 to 12, if I got the times there correctly. The conversation with Jake DeGrom was on point last week. So if you guys miss the baseball brunch from 11 to 12, I emphasize you guys end up watching and or hearing it on the radio. You can view them on Twitter through Periscope or at 102.5 Fox Sports, The Gambler. So again, great show. Obviously with Murph, it's a lot of fun. He's been with us twice, so it was good to hear the banner back and forth. And I like how you have, I think it's Ryan is also to assist you guys. Ryan and, I forget the girl's name.
Well, I have Kyle's my producer, Kyle / Nunamaker, and then we have Sam. She handles our social media accounts, mainly because while we're doing the ticket giveaways, so she handles that for me while me and Murph are doing the show, and then we have John Jansen, also with iHeartRadio. He's back in the studio, just making sure we're getting the commercial breaks in there, and we're he doesn't have to hit the dump button, but we're pretty good about that.
All right. Well, I want to bring up, now that you're on, Chris, I want to bring up our pick from yesterday. And I believe that Howie finally, for the first time in a long time, actually did his homework. So here is the pick in last night's draft.
The Dallas Cowboys have traded the 10th pick to the Philadelphia Eagles. With the 10th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Davonte Smith, wide receiver, Alabama.
So it is, in fact, a reunion tour tonight. Joe Burrow reunited with his wide receiving target, Jamar Chase from LSU. And then later on, Tua, in the next pick, reunited with Jalen Waddle, his target from Alabama days in Miami. And now, Jalen Hurts, who is atop the depth chart in Philadelphia, gets the Heisman Trophy winner Devontae Smith as his target.
Very comfortable with him, and somebody that is so silky smooth when you watch him. He's the best route runner in this year's draft. There might be receivers that are rated higher than him, but nobody creates separation like he does, which is going to create some easy throws for his former and new teammate in Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, what I love about this pick is when you add it with Philadelphia, we keep talking about Jalen Reagor last year. He was beat up and all. But the rest of the guys, Travis Fulgham had to emerge for them. Quez Watkins, John Hightower. This is an absolutely home run pick for Philadelphia.
So, Chris, a good win. And listen, we can talk all we like as far as when it comes to, was Devontae going to be there? What were the Eagles going to do? Were they going to trade down? We know there was a lot of moves last night that happened. I mean, Justin Fields ends up going to Chicago. I like the pick that Howie Roseman did on the first round. Second round might be questionable, but finally we got a wide receiver. Jalen Hurts, his combination, as Nick was talking about not too long ago, as far as former teammates on their teams and now put together. I'd like to get your take as far as Devontae Smith. Was it a good move by the Eagles last night?
Solid selection, and they kept him away from the Giants. You had to do what you had to do to get to that spot. I think the Eagles all along, they were looking at getting J.C. Horn, Patrick Surtain, Jalen Waddle, or Devontae Smith, or Devontae Davis, as Mike Golick likes to call him. But I'll tell you what, man, they did exactly what they needed to do in this situation. Keep them away from the Giants. I have no idea why the Giants are even thinking about shopping for a wide receiver. They have plenty of weapons on the offensive side of the ball, and then they go ahead and they settle for another wide receiver after they traded out with the Bears. There was no point in having to make that selection. Your defense sucks. Add some playmakers to that side of the ball. But hey, I'm not a Giants fan, and thankfully I'm not. So I'll tell you what, man, this kid he's a special kid. On the field, off the field, he's going to bring work ethic to this team. He's going to drive these other young wide receivers. He has a connection with Jalen Hurts already. So I'm excited about it, man. Like, this kid catches everything. His hands are glue. And then listen, man, a lot of times with a small wide receiver, a skinny wide receiver like this guy, you have to take him off the field in the red zone. That's where he excels. So I look at this. This is a home run hit for Howie Roseman. Solid move all around. I hate giving a third round pick to the Dallas Cowboys, but at the end of the day, we got our player. We got our guy.
No, that is exactly right now. And I'm wondering now, with Jalen Reagor also being on the team, we know that he can have an upswing to him. I think he got the rough end of the stick, I guess, if you were on the save for his first year. And also the same way with Hightower. I think Hightower has potential. I know a lot of people are probably going to have given up on Hightower, but I think now you have these three players, again, young, talented wide receivers. You got a young quarterback in Jalen Hurts. There can only be an upside to this team as long as, barring the injury bug that can get out of Philly for the first time in God knows how long. And I think it excels for this team to do a lot better. So I don't know if you kind of feel the same way too. Does this help Reagor and Hightower, I guess, reach that next level where Devontae Smith is?
Absolutely. It takes the pressure off of Reagor for sure. This kid has shown in a year now how young and immature he still is. He likes to listen to too many of the voices on the cesspool that is Twitter. He likes to battle with the fans. I don't understand that end of things. Plus the injuries last year didn't help. This right here, this pick with Devontae Smith, it alleviates a lot of pressure off of his shoulders. Now he doesn't have to be the guy. Devontae Smith is being brought in here to be that guy. Reagor can now fill in a complementary role. You can kind of move. And this is the best thing about like both of these players is they're not just going to settle into the X or the Y or the slot. Like these guys, you can maneuver them any which way. I'm excited because Nick Sirianni is a type of head coach where he's shown how creative he can be. With his offenses in Indianapolis, he doesn't just stick to the status quo. And that was the part that got stale with me with Doug. It was like, you're trying too much to try and plug players into a system instead of trying to work with what works best with these guys and these players. And Sirianni is going to find some creative ways to get the ball into these guys' hands in open space in the open field and really let them make the plays, which is going to take the pressure off of your franchise quarterback, which even though they still haven't announced that he's going to be the starter this year, I think all of us aren't dumb enough to realize that Joe Flacco has no shot.
Yeah, that is exactly true. And I think with Sirianni, I know there hasn't been much talk about it. I know he's been really quiet at this point. There's not much to, not as boisterous as other coaches. But what I like about Sirianni, at least he knows exactly where he wants to take this team to. And I think, just being my own goofy opinion here, it could be about 2 years before we can start seeing what Sirianni's putting together with the Eagles, at least getting them back into that playoff contention. Now, could it be a surprise? Maybe we'll get back there this year. Highly doubted. But I think 2 to 3 years from now, we could be going back again, contending at least your divisional round and definitely for your NFC Championship games. So I'm wondering this talent of team, or at least coaches that he brought with him. And I know there's bits and pieces that we can put together here. Is this the right fit compared to what Doug had? And we know Deuce, he moved on. He went to Detroit. Is this core of coaches what we needed to fix this team and turn around compared for the last 2 seasons?
I mean, I think that remains to be seen, but at the end of the day, it can't get any worse than what it was. I mean, I'm appreciative to Doug and I'm appreciative to his staff for what they did here, and the fact that they did bring us home the first Lombardi Trophy in franchise history. But let's not get it twisted here. The last 3 years have been nothing but step backs all along the way. And you saw regression in a lot of key players, namely Carson Wentz. And we're going to see if that regression was because of here and the staff that Doug had around him, or, is he going to take the next step now in Indianapolis with that roster? I look at this staff. It's young, it's inexperienced, but it's exciting to know that there's some fresh energy. And say what you will about Nick Sirianni, and I know a lot of people have ridiculed him over his press conferences and all the rock, paper, scissors. Oh, you want to play? I'll talk trash. Like I actually enjoy that stuff, man. Like I like the goofiness. It's definitely takes away from what Doug had brought here. And I know. Listen. Lombardi Trophy is way better than press conferences. I get that. But I think that this right here, being that it's a young head coach with a young staff, there's a lot of room to grow, and he preaches technique. And that's going to be something that goes a long way with these kids that he's going to be grooming and to become and, take over the Jason Kelce's and the Lane Johnsons and the Brandon Brooks and some of these older heads that are still around, the Fletcher Cox and Brandon Grahams. Like, we have to get younger. And somewhere along the line here, I wasn't exactly thrilled with the second and third round picks. I thought that this year, being that you have older players on both sides of the trenches, that you would try and build up your skill positions. They did that with wide receiver, but they failed to do that with cornerback and safety and linebacker. And on the defensive side of the football, it's kind of disappointing day 2. I know they have a ton of picks in day 3, but it's more of a crapshoot at that point. You need starters. You need guys that you can plug in this season. And I don't know if you have that with the 2 guys that they brought home in day 2.
Yeah. I would have to agree. Who just spoke? Is that Ryan?
No, that was me.
Nobody?
That's it. I said yeah.
Or Nick? Okay. I would have to agree. No, go ahead, Nick. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to ask a question for you. So you're talking about not building up the skill positions, and Jeremiah Owunsor, I can't say his last name, J.O.K.
The kid from Notre Dame. Just say the kid from Notre Dame.
The kid from Notre Dame, linebacker, sitting at the board, early second round. Were you surprised the Eagles didn't take him? I know he's had some hard stuff, but are you surprised the Eagles did not take him at 37?
Listen, Mel Kiper had him ranked 12 on the big board, and he dropped all the way to 52 to the Browns. That's an absolute steal for the Browns. And I'm a Notre Dame fan. I'm not as much of a Notre Dame fan anymore because I have 2 young kids. And I'm married. So you pretty much have to decide whether you're going to dedicate your time on Saturdays or Sundays. And my time is dedicated to the family on Saturdays, and then Sundays is the birds. So, but I'll tell you what, man, like you had so much potential at that position. You had the kid from TCU at the safety spot. You had Asante Samuel Jr. there for the cornerback spot. Like, who's playing opposite side of Darius Slay? And right. Darius Slay, his nickname is Big Play Slay. The only big plays I saw last year from Darius Slay were going against him. DK Metcalf and Devontae Adams. Like, you need talent on that side of the ball that's going to match the work ethic. I'm not questioning his work ethic, but you need somebody on the other side that's going to alleviate some of the pressure that can match that. If Darius Slay doesn't have it that day, you can put the other kid on that number 1 wide receiver on the other side of the football, and you're going up against offenses like the Giants have, who brought in Kenny Galladay and Sterling Shepard, and then you have Darius Slayton, and then Dallas with their bevy of wide receivers, and then Curtis Samuel goes to Washington. Darius Slay's one guy. You're going to have Darius Slay and Avonte Maddox out there trying to stop these guys. Like, that's just silly.
Yeah, I agree completely. Sherman, I don't know if you had a quick question here before we move on to the guys from Rough Cut Sports.
Yeah, the only comment that I was going to make, Chris, is that this has all the makings of the Houston Oilers run and shoot offense of the 1990s. Jalen Hurts might just be airing the ball out to Davonte Smith and Dallas Goedert and Jalen Reagor, and it might be a very entertaining product to see, but at the end of the day, if you don't fill the holes in defense, and the Eagles have a lot of them, they're not going to come back to playoff contention. The one question that I would ask is, the offensive line. There were so many concerns with the offensive line last year with injuries, and I'm not really convinced that they fixed those problems in the offseason. Can you tell the fans and us how concerned we should be about that?
I actually don't mind what they have with the offensive line. I know there was some injury concerns, but listen, you have a lot of money that's tied on that line. Jason Kelsey and Brandon Brooks and Lane Johnson, ton of money. You have a first-round pick invested in Andre Dillard on the left tackle spot. Isaac Seumalo makes a decent amount of coin at the left guard spot. I was kind of excited last year to see how Jordan Mailata played. I think going into the season, you need to have a battle for the left tackle spot, and it's got to be between Dillard and Mailata. And then, say what you will about the other guys, but I thought Nate Herbig played pretty well. And I know Brian Baldinger talked about how well he played. And then Jack Driscoll, when he was able to have an opportunity to play, in place of Lane in a couple different spots, he played pretty well. So I'm excited about some of the young pieces that they have behind those guys. Do I want to see them play this year? No, I want Lane Johnson healthy. I want Brandon Brooks healthy. I want Mailata or Dillard to claim that spot at left tackle. That's why the second round pick didn't make a lot of sense to me. I know you're trying to draft the heir apparent to Jason Kelsey, but this guy has been injured every single year that he's been in college. He's torn both of his ACLs playing in college. Ankle injuries too, on top of that for a big guy, leg injuries. Like, I understand what they're trying to do, but Nate Herbig can play center. Seumalo was drafted to be the heir apparent to Jason Kelsey at some point to play center. And I just completely felt like they botched that pick right there at the beginning of the second round.
All right. Well, Chris, as we're rotating our guests tonight, we do thank you for coming on with us. I really do appreciate it. And again, if you guys want to hear of Chris Sack, some more of him, along with the Green Legion, tomorrow from 1 to 3 on 102.5 Fox Sports The Gambler. Holy moly, if I get the words out of my mouth here. Tomorrow from 1 to 3. Also, get out of here with your Kansas City stuff. Then they have the baseball brunch from 11 to 12 on Sunday. And then following that, it's the Green Legion Radio from noon to 2, and they will be breaking down everything from the draft that's been going on the whole entire weekend. So, Chris, if you want to jump back on with us a little bit later on, it's up to you. I would just hate to leave you kind of swirling around in the green room, but you're more than welcome to join us. It'll be a party up until midnight. So, but thank you so much for joining us. I really do appreciate it.
Gentlemen, I appreciate you guys having me on, and anytime. Tonight, I think I'm going to go to bed, maybe watch the rest of this Phillies game, but last night was a late night, and there was couple too many drinks over the limit. So I'll catch you guys another time for sure. So definitely invite me another time, and I'd love to talk more sports with you.
Enjoy. Thank you.
Let's do it. Enjoy.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Chris. We appreciate it.
Anytime.
All right. So now the next group, I'm going to switch gears here momentarily. Let me take this out. There you go. So now the next group that we have here, and hopefully I can do these guys a lot of justice. Let me bring the screen up here because why did my share screen come up? Why? Because it's live. This is the stuff that happens when it's live. So let me bring this up here. There it is. Finally, good God Almighty. So the rough cut with Vinny, AJ, Aaron, and Dylan. Now, you talk about an entertaining show. Aaron, first of all, we won't hold against him. I know he's smiling. I can see him in the green room smiling. He is a Dallas fan, but I would tell you this much. The man deserves to be on ESPN. ESPN, if you're listening, if you're watching, the man deserves to be on ESPN. I'm just putting it out there. Now, as far as when it comes to AJ, I saw the video he put out this week as he's doing his thing when it comes to school. He's doing an amazing job. And so is Dylan. Dylan is starting to knock it out the park, literally, as he's working also as a broadcaster. So all these guys, and Vinny, I don't know what else to say about Vinny. Vinny, he just puts the whole entire glue to that cast together. And so without making them wait any longer, here is Vinny, AJ, Aaron, and if I can squeeze Dylan, where's Dylan? Dylan is right there. The boys from Rough Cut. How are you?
Doing well, man.
What up?
Billy!
Doing well. Excited.
Billy!
Rough Cut in the building, baby. I don't know about this Philadelphia thing. I feel uncomfortable on this set right now. Maybe I shouldn't have wore this jersey. I don't want to get beat up or nothing.
No. We're going to make you feel absolutely comfortable. And Vinny, I got to tell you, man, you're right in the center square. Right in the center square, like Hollywood Square. So you are the man of the hour. And we're going to start with you because the Jacksonville Jaguars, who were 1-15 last year, ended up with the number 1 pick in the draft. But what comes to my mind when I ask you this question, it's almost like Halloween because they had their pick of the litter with so many picks. So can you let our fans know who the Jacksonville Jaguars have taken at this point?
So the Jags started the draft off with a bang, of course, getting their guy Trevor Lawrence, and then probably some very questionable picks followed that with Travis Etienne at 25, and then Tyson Campbell to start the second round. Walker Little, who is full of injuries, followed that up, and then a good pick. A good pick is the most recent one, and Andre Sisco out of Syracuse, the safety. So the Jags have had it's like a sandwich at this point. They started off with Trevor Lawrence, and then they filled it up with just and then they just sandwiched it up with Andre Sisco. So it's been an interesting draft for Jags fans.
What type of expectations should we have for the Jaguars next year? Realistic expectations. I know as a fan, you would love to see him go 12-5 and make the playoffs and win that division.
You're selling them short.
As a fan, I'm hoping they go 17-0 and we're winning the Super Bowl and we're bringing the Lombardi back to Jacksonville. But
yeah, right.
Realistically, I guess it's not back. It would be for the first time. But realistically, guys on our show, you know that I'm not that big of an Urban Meyer fan. I think that he will struggle out of the gate. He could develop into somewhat of a good coach. But I think the Jags, realistically, at this point, 7-9 is kind of what we're looking at right now as a start here, and that's a good jump for where the Jags were. And they have some talent. The division's good. I think the Jags can do it. 7-9.
Wow.
Great.
Wow.
I'm very positive here. I'm very positive with Jags.
You need to put the bottle down, my friend. Put the bottle down. Put the bottle down because they're not going 7-9.
It could happen.
Stranger things have happened in the NFL.
Urban Meyer is going to wind up like Steve Spurrier. It's just not going to transfer over. It's not going to equate to the NFL. It's just isn't.
It is possible, though. It is. I mean, they've got a lot of talent there. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is supposed to be the real deal, and as we know, a good quarterback can carry you a long way.
Trevor Lawrence is the real deal.
Hope you're talking smack about ETN because you see the guy above me. He's a Clemson.
I'm a Clemson student. You got two great players down there.
I've been basically the only person that has been trying to support the Travis Etienne pick on our show. Well,
incorrect.
It was a bad pick where it was, but he's a good player. He's a great player.
Why do you think it was too early?
We've
running back.
That and the fact that the Jacksonville Jaguars have so many holes to fill on their team, and the running back position, you only have one running back play on the field at a time, realistically. So you, with a team that has so many holes to fill, you take with your second first-round pick a running back when you could have went corner, you could have went safety, you could have went linebacker, you could have went pass rusher, you could have went offensive line. Anywhere but running back was probably the right move. But you get a great player and probably an impact player in Travis Etienne. It's going to be very interesting, though, what they do with James Robinson and Travis Etienne in the backfield.
We had asked a question earlier on our show before you guys came on about the connection of Clemson players playing together, LSU players playing together, the Eagles doing it with Davonte Smith and Jalen Hurts. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it might have been Aaron in our group chat that we had. He brought up that they're all adults. They should be able to play. They should be able to play together. Like even when they're not on the same team anymore, they should be able to play comfortably. But the fact that you now bring in a guy like Travis Etienne for Trevor Lawrence, it does add that like little bit of comfort in a new town, new city. I mean, Jacksonville's pretty big city. So to be able to have a guy like Travis Etienne there on the field, off the field, it adds that extra level of comfort. But let's be real, it's kind of an overhyped thing. I mean, we talk about the Cincinnati Bengals taking Jamar Chase just for the Joe Burrow connection when they really need Penei Sewell. It's kind of overrated, but if it brings comfort to your franchise quarterback, then you do it.
Agree 100%. I think that Sewell should have been the pick for Cincinnati and not Jamar Chase. Now, let me ask you, is Jacksonville playing a game in London this year, or due to COVID, are they going to have their games all in the United States?
I believe they are going to have a game in London. They normally do have their game in London. I think the NFL is going through with their games in London this year. So if that does happen and they do go to London, the Jags will most likely be there because, well, the Jags are London's team.
Fair enough. And as we transition from Jacksonville for a moment. So if I'm not mistaken, Jacksonville was playing Atlanta this year. Due to the 17-game schedule, the extra game is that the last place team will play the last place team. And trust me, we know about it because the Philadelphia Eagles are going to play the New York Jets in New York at some point during the season. So Jacksonville was playing Atlanta, and that game will be in Jacksonville. So being that we have a Jacksonville guy and we have an Atlanta guy on the show, AJ, I'm going to shift to you for a moment. Can we start to talk a little bit about the Atlanta Falcons draft? Because they were sitting at number 4, and there was so much talk about would they take Mac Jones? Would they take Justin Fields? Would they take Jamar Chase? Would they take Sewell? Would they take Kyle Pitts? Talk to us about your draft, right? So at this point, they've taken Kyle Pitts, Richie Grant, and Jalen Mayfield, if I'm not mistaken. So talk to us about how excited you are as an Atlanta fan with what they've done in this draft.
All right, well, let me count it down real quick. Number 1, thank you guys at Broad Street South for having us on. Totally appreciate it. You guys went through a lot to get us all on together. We're best together. I'll be honest about that. So first and foremost, thank you guys. I love what you guys got going on here. Appreciate the love you guys give us. We try to match that level of love for you guys. I honestly think y'all do it better. So forgive us for that, but love what you guys got going on here. Number 2, when it comes to playing Jacksonville, hey, Vinny, you better be happy y'all got y'all safety, because with Kyle Pitts running rampant in circles around you, y'all going to need a little safety back there to stop and slow us down in week 17 when it matters for y'all.
Where's your defense?
It's okay. You got like 3 players on offense. DJ Chark ain't going to be there by week 17. I ain't worried about it. As far as our draft goes, when you talk about the Mac Jones is a surprise to me. If we took Mac Jones, I would have burned this jersey hard in a second, without question. I would have quit life. It would have been done.
Yeah, those are expensive. Those are expensive.
Worth it. Worth it. We got to number 4, and honestly, after they took Trey Lance, I had a couple scenarios in my head. You know, if the 49ers took Mac Jones, I was scared to death that I believe we could have taken Trey Lance. When they took Trey Lance, I was scared to death we would take Justin Fields. What I wanted to happen in this order was we either traded out of the pick and got the assets we needed. Number 2, we take Kyle Pitts, or if Trey Lance failed us, we took him. We got Kyle Pitts, and as you can see, I'm very happy about that pick. Our offense is going to still be a nightmare, and that's what we put our bread on. With Arthur Smith coming in and working that scheme, I think that's going to work very well. We followed it up, and our whole entire show, we know you guys been busy. We were wondering about Trevin Moehrig and how he's kept falling. And we take Richie Grant as a safety with our second pick, which we really need after we lost all of our safeties. We gave little Aaron down there all of our safeties with Keanu Neal and Kaziz or whatever. So KZ, sorry. But we got ourselves safety, and I like that. And we got to the 3rd round, and I'm sitting there. I was like, this has to be a trench pick. We are either getting a pass rusher or we need to get a tackle. And they picked up Jalen Mayfield. So right now, as it sits, I'm very happy. I think we've figured out a direction. We figured out what we need to do and what we need to attack. And I like where we're sitting. I don't think it's the end all be all. You know, I think we gave ourselves about another 3-4 wins, possibly, depending on what Arthur Smith can do. But I like where we're at right now before we head to our pick in 4th round. So that's where I'm sitting with this.
I know Ryan wants to chime in, but I do have something here for you, AJ, that you might appreciate.
With the 4th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Kyle Pitts, tight end, Florida.
So, the player from Florida that's atop so many people's draft board is the best prospect in this draft period, who your podcast mate, Bucky Brooks, and our colleague here at NFL Media Group, Bucky, called Daniel. He called him a gold jacket talent.
Of course,
Rise up, baby.
NFL, but
hey, wait.
there you go.
How come the Jacksonville with the number 1 pick didn't get a personalized video?
Okay, we get
AJ,
okay.
Wait,
okay.
That's the love right there.
But see, hold on.
We've had
Aaron,
50
you brought up a
personalized
good
picks
point.
since 2015, bro.
Aaron brings up a good point because I got something too for Vinny.
With the 1st pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Trevor Lawrence, quarterback.
And so the inevitable has finally become reality. Family, friends, dog, they're all happy for Trevor Lawrence, the new Jacksonville Jaguar.
It's a new era of Jacksonville Jaguars football. This is a prototype player, can make every throw, and as good as he is on the field, he's even better off the.
There it is. That's what I needed. That's what I needed right there, man. That's what a beautiful family. Okay, what a beautiful family. A beautiful moment. Okay. That was right to the heart. Well, I didn't see that with your Falcons, by the way. Just saying.
Hey, we building families in Atlanta, bro. We're not going from the old ones. We're building families in Atlanta.
Families here. We tight. We stay tight in Jacksonville.
Wait. You and Dylan just fighting like last night and then earlier today? How are you talking about family?
You know, sometimes siblings fight. Okay, siblings fight. Okay, I mean, come on.
Y'all were about to go 10 rounds earlier today.
I still love Dylan. Okay, I still love Dylan though. Dylan, I love you, man.
I love you too, Vinny.
There it is.
He ain't mean that.
If we're gonna do this kind of full circle, so Aaron, once again, because Aaron is the Dallas fan, and it's probably the first time you actually have Eagles and Dallas fans in the same room without killing each other. So just to kind of introduce you a little bit to the Philly fan base, this might be a little bit of an older footage, but one of those things that we like to say when we travel down to Dallas.
We're from Philly, fucking Philly. No one likes us, we don't care. No one likes us, no one likes us, no one likes us, we don't care. We're from Philly, fucking Philly. No one likes us, we don't care. No.
So
that's a jam.
I expect nothing less. I expect
hey, get that a Grammy. Get that a Grammy. That's a jam.
I have to tell you, the first time my interaction, a little quick story here. My first interaction with Philly fans actually came back in 2007. One of the last games in the old Texas Stadium. We went and watched Philly and Dallas. Philly ended up winning 10-6. I proposed to my wife that weekend, right? And let's just say there were almost a couple of fights between myself and Philly fans, and it was not because of me. The Philly fans are very passionate, and I actually love it. But they don't mince their words. They're out there, and I enjoy it. Every time I've been around Philly fans, they bring the passion, and I have to respect them for that. So that's great, and that's exactly. By the way, we made the mistake of staying in a Philadelphia hotel. Okay, I don't know how, but for whatever reason, all the Philly fans were traveling, and we stayed at the same hotel. And next thing you know, in the middle of the night, it's like 2 a.m. before the game. They're like screaming and chanting EAGLES, Eagle, like throughout the whole hotel, and we couldn't sleep. It was wild. That's what Philly does.
Ryan, I know that you want to chime in, but Aaron, I do have to give you mad props because a couple weeks ago I was watching your show, and on the final countdown, I posed the question of, do you order your bills in your wallet? And the only one who understood the question right on was you. AJ came in and he started talking about, well, you know, I have this bill to pay.
He goes, he drops his table information on the show.
and Aaron, thank you for exactly understanding what I was talking about. I was talking about, like, you know, do you arrange your bills in this particular order?
Unfortunately, Michael, these guys are a little younger than us, right?
Oh my God.
We're the elder statesmen of the group, so sometimes they need a little bit of help with comprehension. I got your back. I got your back.
That's why we had to get a dad on our show to keep us in line.
We need someone to look up to. We can't just look up to AJ.
I got to keep my children in line.
All right, Brian.
Well, 2 things. First, the Cowboys just took gold from Iowa defensive end. AJ, I got a question for you, brother.
Let's go.
What makes you think that Pitt will make a difference out of all the weapons they've had the last 4 years and they still haven't done anything? What makes you think Pitt is going to – if they don't cheer up that defense, brother, just like the Cowboys don't cheer up their defense, forget it.
Well, listen, first and foremost, I will say I still haven't figured out what we were trying to ask for the number 4 pick. Because again, number 1, as much as I love the fact we got Kyle Pitts, I wanted to trade out of that spot and get assets. We do have a lot of holes specifically on the defense, but that didn't go down. We had to take someone, and the best available player was Kyle Pitts. Now, with that being said, something we talk about a lot on the show, I'm a fan of a double tight end set if you have the players to make it work. So we got Hayden Hurst last year, and we weren't able to make him work the way we wanted to. Now you have Kyle Pitts, someone that they're going to tend their attention to over and over again. And Hayden Hurst is no scrub. Now you got Kyle Pitts, who's generational. Not only are we going to put him at tight end, we also got him on the outside if we need him. We also got him in the slot if we need him. We also can line him up in the backfield and make you wonder what's going to go down. He has so many different talents. He's 6'6", 250, can high point the ball, can outrun your corner or your safety, is too big for your cornerback. He creates so many matchup problems for so many defenses. And even if it comes to the situation where later down the line, people can figure him out a little bit, first 2 years when you're trying to deal with a monster like that, it's going to be some problems. So with Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, Kyle Pitts, you can have a Matt Ryan type of MVP season again if you really can address that. So I don't think there's any question. Like the price to get Kyle Pitts should have been high, but we might have done a little too high.
It still kills me in retrospect that had the Eagles lost to the Cincinnati Bengals instead of tying that game, it would have been the Eagles with the pick because us, the Texans, and Atlanta all would have been 4-12, and I think based on strength of the schedule, they would have been the Eagles who would have been in that position. So,
do they still trade out of that though if they're sitting there at 4?
I was about to say, who would you guys have done if you had that pick?
Yeah, because I mean, it's an enticing offer.
I've been screaming for offensive line because the offensive line for the Eagles was decimated this past year, and whether you get Rashawn Slater or Penei Sewell, you have a generational talent who could be on that line for the next 10 to 12 years. That's personally my opinion of what I would have done. But the last guy who we had on the show, he seemed to be fine with the offensive line that the Eagles have. But Jason Kelce, Lane Johnson, and the rest of the line, they're only getting older. And I think it's going to turn into a run and shoot offense for the Eagles next year. They'll be entertaining to watch, but they're not going to put a whole lot of W's on the scoreboard because we have no defense.
Well, it's kind of like what I said when you popped up in our show. You know, it seems like Philadelphia got their Super Bowl and then everything went wrong. And now you're one of those teams, you know, you talk about how hard it is to get back to the Super Bowl. You're one of those teams that got your Super Bowl and unfortunately just fell off, you know, and there's so many different things you have to address. And as much as they want to say win now, I really think it's time to focus for Philly on rebuilding. Not as far as, hey, guys, we're shutting it down and we're rebuilding, but subtly and quietly, we're going to keep trying to win games and do what's best for Jalen Hurts, but we need to start putting pieces around slowly and surely, for sure.
Shiny new toys. And we talk about this on Rough Cut all the time, and I know I'm a big proponent. I bring this up to the fellas. Everybody gets in love with these shiny new toys, the running backs, the receivers, these playmakers, and they don't actually build an organization or a franchise in order to win. If you don't have guys in the trenches and you don't have a solid defense, you are not going to win in the NFL. We witnessed it just last year with Kansas City. The minute their offensive line fell apart, they got exposed, and Tampa Bay, who was solid from top to bottom, was more prepared and they were ready to win. And it's one of those things that I think the NFL is going that way more and more now. Everybody's looking for these next elite guy. But why not get the elite guy at the offensive tackle position that's going to play for 12, 13, 14 years and going to protect that quarterback investment that you just made? So as much as I love the Davonte Smith, the pick that Philly made, I think he's a really good receiver. But your quarterback has to have time to throw him the ball. You have to have a defense in order for that wasted talent. If he's just out there getting 1,000-yard season every year, but they're not winning, then it's just Odell Beckham on the New York Giants again at the beginning of his career. So I think teams just are going about it the wrong way.
Okay.
Well, shifting from one NFC foe to another, New York Giants. Dylan, what were your thoughts on the Giants trading down? And then what were your thoughts on them taking Kadarius Toney? Kadarius got some off-field issues, all that. So go ahead, tell us a little bit about Kadarius Toney and what you think.
Yeah, we've seen Dave Gettleman take a wide receiver, or not wide receiver, but you've seen him take someone in the first round with off-the-field issues before with DeAndre Baker. You see how that turned out. But going back to the draft, you look at the Giants. They were sitting there at 11, and that was a pick that I thought they would make because Dave Gettleman did not trade down. He hasn't traded down in 8 years of being a GM, whether that's Carolina, whether that's in New York. He's never been a proponent to trade down because he always thought that teams would jump him and make sure that they would take advantage of him. But, I mean, he's a crazy guy to begin with. But then you look at the Giants and what they ended up doing with that pick. they picked up another first-round pick, which makes a lot of sense next season. But what they did was they went and took Kadarius Toney, because I believe 100% that they were going to take Devontae Smith at 11, which is why the Eagles jumped and made sure they could take him at 10. But if you look at the Giants and what they did, Devontae Smith is sort of a similar stature and similar build to someone like a Kadarius Toney, where they're pretty fast and sort of that shifty kind of guy. So what it did for me was they were still going to go wide receiver. They just got a horrible version of Devontae Smith later on in the draft. So, I mean, maybe Dave Gettleman's around to pick the first round pick next year. But one thing that I did like was they did address the defensive end position and pick up Azeez Ojulari in the second round. And that could be a big steal, because a lot of people had him mocked to the Giants in the first.
Are Giants fans more upset at the Dallas right now, or the Eagles? You think back to last year, where the Eagles essentially tanked the game against the Redskins so that the Giants will be out of the playoffs. And here we are a couple months later, where Dallas, and when have you ever heard of two NFC East foes trading in the draft and essentially undercutting the Giants? Because if Dallas and the Eagles don't make that move, chances are that it's the Giants who have Devontae Smith at this point. So who are Giants fans more upset with right now, the Eagles or the Cowboys?
I think, I hate to say it, but I think it's going to be the Eagles. I do. I mean, it's just the way that the game played out last year, week 17. Now, I'm not saying anything took place in that one, but Nate Sudfeld getting reps, I mean, you know, it's sort of borderline on that process. They ended up trading down, of course, but then they ended up trading back up to get Devontae Smith. But I would probably lean Philly, but I mean, they definitely do not like Dallas either, and it's probably upsetting them that Micah Parsons was taken there too.
I think you kind of have to look how it played out. I think actually if the Giants get that call at 11 for that offer that they got, I think they still might move back there, even with Devontae Smith sitting on the board. That offer to get that first round pick, especially in a wide receiver draft class that we had been hearing it's so deep, I would have had a hard time turning that offer down that Chicago threw up to get Justin Fields. So I think they might have moved down anyways. I do think there was a little bit of probably resentment that Dallas traded with Philly. But as a Cowboy fan, I was okay with it. I know there's a lot of people that are against trading within your own division and helping your own division maybe get something that they want. But this is the NFL, and you have to do what's best for your team. And I know as a Dallas fan, if I can drop back 2 spots, get a third-round pick, and also get what I feel is the best defensive player in the draft, that's a win. So I'm not going to turn that down. We talk about the draft picks that were made. That's one thing that I'm very happy with as a Cowboy fan. We went Micah Parsons. We went Kelvin Joseph. We went, I'm not even going to butcher his name, Osa, his last name.
Odeyingabo.
On our interior defensive line. And then now we just got an edge rusher. We went strictly defense. It's what everybody's been saying that the Cowboys have needed. And let's be honest. Jerry Jones may or may not have made these picks. It might have been his son, Stephen Jones. But he deserves some credit because everybody talks about he's going to go up and get the flashy guy in Kyle Pitts. He's fallen in love with him. He's going to make the trade up. But they have been consistent in the draft over the past 5-6 years, drafting players that have come in and been impact players. Now, it hasn't resulted in wins. We've talked about the coaching issues there, and we've talked about, obviously, Dak Prescott's injury last year. But there's no debating. The Dallas Cowboys have drafted really, really well over the past 5 or 6 years. It hasn't resulted in wins, and that's what we're looking for now. What kind of coach are we going to bring in that coaches this talent, and hopefully we put a defense together that's comparable to our offense to help them win. But as of right now, I'm happy with the way we've drafted. I don't think we needed to address offense at this point. And, it's interesting as this division rival thing you talk about. Right now, I think it's a 2-team race in the NFC East, if you ask me. It's Washington, probably at the top, even with the Ryan Fitzpatrick, with the things they've done. And then Dallas has to come out and prove this year that they can stay healthy and challenge for that division.
Yeah, and I would agree that Dallas has definitely had a very strong draft, getting 3 defensive players to bolster that defense because they were pretty bad last year. And Dylan, I know for the Giants that they haven't had the best of drafts, but they have picked up some major pieces in the offseason. Can you talk to the fans out there and to us about the pieces that they've picked up in the offseason and how you think that'll realistically impact the Giants for the upcoming season?
Yeah, I mean, the big name that sticks out is Kenny Golladay on the outside, and I mean, he was someone that they really wanted and targeted big time. And if you're Kenny Golladay, you have to understand you chase the money in that situation. I don't think Daniel Jones is the best person you want to be playing with. So, yeah, I mean, he did have some other offers on the table, but I think Kenny Golladay is going to come into that offense, be that X receiver on the outside that they really haven't had in a while that can really be that number one. Sterling Shepard has some injury issues. You saw the pick of Kadarius Toney. That surprised me a little bit. I'll be honest. I didn't think they should have gone receiver. I should have thought I thought they should have gone offensive line. They still haven't addressed that, and we're sitting here in the 4th round almost. And it's like it means that the Giants right now believe so much into Andrew Thomas, and I don't know why, because he was horrible last year. And then I guess you did get production out of unnecessary guys you didn't think of with Lemieux and Nick Gates, but I mean that offensive line is still not going to be fantastic. It's not going to be even good even. So you look at the Giants going forward. They also brought in Adoree Jackson on the outside, a cornerback to play opposite James Bradbury. And what do they do in the 3rd round? They draft Aaron Robinson, a cornerback again. So they have 3 straight cornerbacks that they're just trying to address that defense. And I personally would have gone offensive line. It just doesn't make too much sense.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. They definitely solidified some things. Like the fact that they haven't gone offensive line kind of surprises me as well. You know, I get the trading back part, but like you look at this idea of the New York Giants who jumped way too far to grab Daniel Jones, and now they won't even protect him. Like if you're gonna make that pick, you have to do everything to say I made the right pick by giving him some protection. Now, you can say they did that by getting him all these weapons, but if he doesn't have time to throw, and you know as soon as they put a hand on his shoulder, he's going to grease up and drop the ball. You've got to get this man some protection. So all these weapons are great. I hope somehow, some way, I'm still hoping for John Ross to come out of this on top. I really like John Ross, but it don't seem like it's going to happen. But you got him these weapons. You got to figure something out. And if I don't know at this point, do you even waste the time on an offensive line pick? Like who's sitting here that you're really excited about anymore?
Probably not anybody. I mean,
that's a good point.
Yeah, it seems like all the good players are off the board, and they missed their opportunity to take someone like that early on in the draft. And I think one thing with their secondary, you didn't see a lot of Xavier McKinney. I believe he was 2nd round pick last year. He battled that. I think it was an ankle injury that kept him out until week 12, week 13, somewhere along those lines. And that's still someone that they're trying to see a return on investment with him. But, I mean, the defense is good enough. We already saw last year Patrick Graham's defense took a big step up, and they already brought in good talent last year. I don't understand why they keep going and adding to that defense instead of trying to bolster the offensive line and help them out a little bit.
Hey, your boy's still in here. Your boy Quinn Manners is still on the board.
Really?
Yeah,
he's been the name of the night.
He's still on the board. So,
Ryan,
I was just can I educate Aaron for a minute?
Let go.
You can try. I mean, you can try. I'm always willing to learn.
As a former Cowboys fan.
Oh,
wait a minute. No.
You lost me already by saying former.
I got sick and tired of Jerry Jones's BS. Here's the deal. And I said this to these guys last night. I say it to my Cowboys fans all the time. You realize since the Cowboys last made the Super Bowl, other than the Cowboys, there's only 3 other teams that haven't made the Super Bowl. Detroit, Minnesota, Washington. That's it. Until the old man is gone, go look. Every other team from the NFC has made the Super Bowl.
Oh, NFC, okay. NFC.
Yeah. Until Jerry Jones, look, he swore up and down after Jimmy Johnson took all that credit. He was never going to let that happen again. When you piss off Bill Parcells after 3 years and drive him off, you got a problem. So
I agree with that.
They will be stuck in mediocrity, and I would never wish anything bad on anybody. He either needs to let Keegan take over or sell the damn team, because this is the way it's always going to be while he's in charge. Look, why can't you be more like Kraft, Rooney, Green Bay owner, like Pat Bowen?
That's not who he is. I agree with you. That's not who he is. But to your point, don't you feel at this point in time, I agree with you everything on Jerry Jones, and he has held the team back due to his ego, but I think it's shifted on one part of the team, and that's when it comes to picking the players. Right? We talked about it. Like before, when he would draft, he would go get the guys that were flashy. This started back when he was in love with Johnny Manziel, and instead Stephen Jones talked him into taking Zach Martin. Right? We took Travis Frederick in the first round the year before. I think Stephen has had a good impact on him as a general manager. The problem with Jerry is when it comes to picking a coach, and that's been the biggest issue because his ego is he wants the credit for when the Cowboys win. He doesn't want the Jimmy Johnsons to take the credit. He doesn't want the Bill Parcells to take the credit. So I completely agree with the fact that it's really hard for Dallas to win without a coach that demands this. I mean, that has a winning mindset, right? I know that Mike McCarthy has won a Super Bowl, but let's be honest. He had Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest quarterbacks that I feel has ever played the position talent-wise. You don't go hire a Mike McCarthy in that situation. You just got rid of a guy that sat there and clapped on the sideline for 9-10 years, and you bring a guy in that's also a little different. So I feel like, yes, as far as hiring a head coach, you are absolutely right. Jerry Jones is in the way of that. But as far as bringing in the personnel and the drafts we had, I can be encouraged by those things because I do think Stephen Jones, year after year, is starting to have more influence on the decisions that Jerry makes. But at the end of the day, Jerry's a businessman. As long as the Cowboys are relevant, Jerry Jones will be a happy man.
Wait a minute.
And they are.
There he is.
They're still they're still the richest franchise in all of sports. And guess what? When they win, you talk about them. When they lose, you talk about them. No matter what.
Listen, that's like saying as far as when it comes to the Stankies, which I can't stand the New York Stankies, but it's the same way with the Cowboys. And you talk about a Jerry Jones, a businessman. Okay, let's go to that. I advocated, and I'm not a Dallas fan, but I advocated all season long last year, Dak Prescott should have gotten paid. And as a matter of fact, Dak Prescott should have gotten paid before that goofball that you have for running back Zeke Elliott. That man should have not gotten the money that he gotten. You can say whatever you want to. I am not a fan of Zeke Elliott. If you're watching, I look you directly in your eye. I'm not a fan. You should not be on that team. I'm just saying. Woo! Dak should have gotten paid, and he finally got paid. Absolutely. So you talk about Jerry Jones taking care of business. It was too long. And if I was Dak, I'd have told my manager, you know what? Apparently they don't know good talent, and I'd have left. I'd have hightailed out of there. But Dallas finally did the right thing. I know he's on the road to recovery, and Jerry is Jerry, whatever he at one point he said he loves himself some glory hole. I don't know what the hell that was all about, but Jerry Jones' mouth. To me, I'm sorry. I think that Mike McCarthy also is not the answer for your head coach. So, Aaron, I like to know as far as your response, because to me, Mike McCarthy is not the answer.
And tell us who is the answer as well.
I don't disagree.
Aaron had a good take on this.
Good
whole
point.
Dak Prescott thing.
Yeah, I don't disagree. But the Dak Prescott thing is very, very interesting to me. And at first, I really didn't look at it this way. Again, it goes to Jerry Jones wanting to be the center of attention. Jerry Jones strung that contract out and out and out and out. Why? Because every time Dak Prescott doesn't get paid, guess what they're talking about? Dak Prescott's contract and Jerry Jones. He doesn't care that people hate him. He just wants to be talked about. He wants Dallas in the news. And as crazy as it sounds, it's a marketing genius move. That's why they can have 8 primetime games and be 4-12 or 6-10. Like, that's what they do. That's what Jerry Jones does. Now, as far as the head coach, I agree. I think it's another figurehead. They took Mike McCarthy, spent the night at the Joneses' house like they were 14 having a sleepover or something. The minute that news comes out, I don't want that guy as my head coach. I want my head coach to be able to run the team the way he needs to run the team. And I want my general manager picking the players. And so Mike McCarthy is not my kind of guy. I'm a big fan of head coaches that command respect. And I don't feel like that we've had that kind of head coach. We saw it in Green Bay when Aaron Rodgers didn't respect Mike McCarthy. We saw Jason Garrett not get the respect. I want a guy that's like Parcells. I want a guy that says, this is my team and we're going to run it my way. And that's how I feel. I don't know about those guys that are out there right now. A lot of people are transitioning away from that. But right now, I feel like that's the type of coach we need. We didn't.
And who is that?
We don't have it.
Who is that then? If you want that guy, who is that?
I mean, right now, if who's available, it's not there, right? But the kind of guy like I like guys like John Harbaugh. I like guys like Mike Tomlin who have earned this respect, who are proven winners, and that their teams they demand respect from their team and they get it. I like those kind of guys. To be honest, as crazy as this sounds, and I know it might be off the wall because he's a first-year head coach, and he's going to a franchise that's been atrocious. We showed a clip today of Dan Campbell, who has ties in Dallas. That is the kind of guy that I want my franchise to play for because he demands respect, he gets respect from the players, and he is just this hard-nosed, we're going to play football. And it's this old-school mentality that I still have grown from when I grew up, but I feel like that's what's successful in the NFL. And it may not be out there right now. I know everybody's transitioning to these young guys that are brilliant on offense and can spread it out and, do all this stuff. But it's shown. Look at the guys who's winning this league. Look at the coaches.
Sean McVay.
Hey, Tom Coughlin's out there if you want.
Everybody wants to be Sean McVay. Everybody wants to be Sean McVay. Now,
what about Lincoln Riley? Do you like Lincoln Riley or no?
I like Lincoln Riley as an offensive mind. I don't know about him as a head coach. I don't. I really don't.
I agree with that.
I'm big on resumes. I don't like to just anoint somebody a great player. I'm big on resumes. What have you shown me? What have you done? And so I would want a guy that fits that. If not, I want somebody, if it is going to be a fresh face, I want somebody that just brings this grit and toughness that I haven't seen the Cowboys have in a long time.
Yeah, I will say, because I know we have to let you guys go here, is we have Michael Terrazas waiting in the green room. So I think, and Dylan actually might agree with me on this one here. If you want a quality head coach, you cannot find a better quality head coach than Chip Kelly. I'll leave you with that one because Chip Kelly was a man in Philly. So you want a good quality coach?
Were you like teeing that up when y'all invited us on the show? Did you want us to go crazy weeks ago?
I was expecting some real gem. Like I was like, okay, who are we gonna get? Like, and then that came out. I don't know.
Did you take the bottle that I was drinking earlier when I said the Jags are going to go 7-9?
Yeah. I just say
hey, he must like Nick Foles. He's missing Nick Foles when he talks about Chip Kelly. That's what that is right there.
It was almost
sarcasm. Go ahead, Mike.
It was almost as good as the video that I created for the Rough Cut Sportscast, having J.C. Horn as the Eagles selection at number 12. Oops, I was wrong. Things happen.
Hey, had the Panthers not taken it, I think your rap would have hit, man. I think you would have been right on.
We had so many submissions that had guys that were way gone at that point. Whether we pulled them up, we're like, ooh.
It was great, though. It was great because it got to show.
It was fantastic.
It got to show what people wanted and then how crazy the draft was, because all these mocks everybody looks at. And then really once you got past like 5, 6 to Carolina's pick, it went crazy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. This Big Thomas, a big Steelers fan. So he's got that Pennsylvania rivalry there between Philly and Pittsburgh.
On the Western side, we won't talk about Sidney crying Crosby, but that's okay. That's for a different show, Tom. We'll talk about it some other time.
We'll talk about the Flyers?
Don't get Vinny fired up here. He's a hockey man. Don't get Vinny fired up.
Yeah, but who would have thought the Flyers? I thought the Flyers were going to pick up where they left off last year. Apparently, they proved me wrong. Obviously, the Lightning are picking up where they left off last year, but just saying because it's down here in Tampa. But to me, the Flyers, major disappointment. It's a shame. It's a real shame. But as far as what, hold on. Tom says you won't talk about back-to-back Cup champs. Okay. All right. See, Tom, you know what? That's going to be for another show. Okay. Yes, we know it's been way back since we won our back-to-back Stanley Cups, but it's okay. It's all right. I'll give it to you because it's been concurrent. So it's all right. No big deal. But no, listen, I mentioned Chip Kelly, obviously, because it's an absolute joke what he did to Philly and obviously what he's done to Ookla out there in California. So it's a shame, but whatever. But listen, guys, thank you so much. Vinny, AJ, Dylan, Aaron, you guys do a phenomenal job, and we can't wait to do this again. And this should be just like, oh boy, hold on, I got one more for Tom here. Malcolm Crosby, Murray, stop. Yeah.
Whoa. Matt Murray, we're throwing Matt Murray's name on that list. What? Wait a second. Come on. Okay, I'm not. Nope. You can't.
Wait, please.
You throw the list that you just threw out there of Genny Malkin, Sidney Crosby, two greats. Sidney Crosby's arguably the greatest player of all time, and then you throw in Matt Murray. Come on, at least throw Marc-Andre Fleury out there. At least people like Marc-Andre Fleury. Jesus.
Vinny, tell the fans when they can check out your show, The Rough Cut.
Well, this is time. Well, you can check out the Rough Cut Sportscast on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays at 8:30 Eastern time. I know we got the California guy over here, so we have to specify that we are Eastern time now. 8:30 on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. You can check us out there at Facebook, which you can see here at the @RoughCut_sports. We are on Instagram as well, where we're posting great graphics and pictures at the Rough Cut Sportscast. And if you're interested in following us on Twitter, which we're trying to bump up, you can follow us at Rough Cut. What? Wait, what's our Twitter?
Oh man, you can't. Do you even like our show, bro?
No,
do you even follow us, bro?
I don't.
Fans, listen,
man. Hold on. Hey, Mike. It's not your fault.
You do the plugs at the end.
Michael,
of the show.
It's not your fault. I was surprised, Michael. I thought you would have came to me for the love on the socials. So I'm gonna hook y'all up real quick.
Center Square. I'm sorry.
I understand. I'm gonna hook y'all up real quick. Come follow us on Twitter at @RoughCut_sports.
Okay.
On Facebook at Rough Cut Sports. On Instagram at The Rough Cut Sports. We are streaming on all those platforms. Not IG, that doesn't allow. But we supplement that with YouTube at Rough Cut Sportscast. Hit that like, hit that follow, hit that subscribe. We are on our way to 1,000 followers. We want it by the end of the draft. Please, let's do it. Let's get it done. And when you're done with that, tell everybody. Michael Sherman, who you telling? Your mama, your daddy, your cousin, your uncle, your auntie, your sister's boyfriend, your sister's ex-boyfriend whose cousin you slept on the side that you wasn't supposed to tell nobody about. Tell everybody.
And your side piece.
Whoa! You don't be dropping the side piece in here, man. We don't
side piece. Hey, side pieces need love too, Craig.
Oh man!
Hey, the side piece gets Rough Cut Sport. The main piece gets Broad Street South. Well done.
Well done. But I tell you what, if you guys do, come on over to the Rough Cut Sportscast. Like you said, if you like or you send 10, all you have to do. Send 10 follows out on Facebook. Send us a DM with that screenshot, and we're going to hook you guys up with some from Halftime Sports Collectibles on us. Some merchandise. Maybe some Eagles. Hey, maybe some Eagles gear.
Yeah.
Eagles helmet. Maybe.
I know you guys might not be a big fan of Jalen Reagor, but they got a Jalen Reagor signed helmet on there that we would buy for you if you just send us.
All you got to do is send it 10.
Yes.
No, we really appreciate you guys. Broad Street South. Great show.
Thank you.
You guys show us a lot of love. We're glad we could. You guys had us on, and we're gonna do the same in return. We are going to shout out Broad Street South. I will be posting tonight, telling people to follow, like, share, doing all that stuff. Any Philly fans I know, I'm sending them your way because I can't deal with them.
Thank you so much for the knowledge. You guys were absolutely fantastic, and enjoy the rest of the draft because I know that last night you were on air on the Rough Cut Sportscast for 4 hours, and less than 24 hours later, you did it again.
We ain't done. We might go back and run another.
Whoa. AJ, I don't know about that. You want to settle down over there.
Hey, the draft's not over. The draft's not over. RCOD, baby. Rough cut or die.
Sleep is overrated, so.
Yeah, there it is. Thank you guys so much, man.
Thank you. I really do appreciate it. And as far as Dylan, keep up as far as your comments, right? As far as your broadcast, because you sounded good. I wanted you shared with everybody, and everybody can take a look. Matter of fact, Dylan, if you want to plug your Facebook page as well, so people can see what you did the first time around when it came to your first announcement gig.
Yeah, so the first job that I got, I'm calling USCB baseball and softball games. It's a college in the NAIA. It's a Sun Conference, and I'm their play-by-play announcer, doing everything as it comes to that. And I ended up getting on ESPN for one of the top plays for one of the players that made a nice diving stop at shortstop. They caught it in the heat of the moment, and then they just put it up there for number 9 on the list. So it was such a surreal experience. And for those that are in broadcasting or journalism, you know, it was a SOT full where they played the full sound of the actual clip, and I was just shocked that they ended up playing that. But it's just a fun gig, and the Sun Conference has brought me on next week to be doing the tournament there for all the teams and just calling everybody for the Sun Conference tournament. But I've had a lot of fun. I'm a big baseball guy, so anytime at the ballpark's a good time.
Dylan Kearns, you can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him.
Contain him, baby. Yes, sir.
Here you go.
Sir. And we got him
guys,
at the RC, baby.
Thanks again, Vinny. Congratulations to your Trevor Lawrence and obviously his teammate that came on. So good job there, Atlanta.
17-0, baby. 17-0.
Well, listen, calm down. So you're good to get to that point there. So
you lost every fan we might have just gained.
It's okay. I'll just tee up Mr. ESPN down there, and then we'll get them all back. This is how it works. This is how we do it at the Rough.
Listen, once again, ESPN, I just want to, matter of fact, I got a good friend down there at ESPN. I'm saying that in jest, but I got a good friend down there at ESPN. I'll make sure, Aaron, you deserve to be on ESPN. I'm just saying. I think you deserve to be out there on ESPN. So, guys, thanks again. We will do this again as a family. This was a lot of fun. I really do appreciate it. Thanks. Much success to you guys, and we will see you, I'm pretty sure, very shortly. Put the bottle down.
Take it all the way to the Super Bowl, baby.
Enjoy the rest of the trip.
All right, guys.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you later.
See you.
All right, now, waiting here in the green room, we got a couple guys here. So we got number one from the Indianapolis Colts, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Michael Terrazas. Michael, how are you?
Hey guys, my voice might sound a little scratchy, but I've been in a better mood, but it's probably has nothing to do with what the Colts did tonight. I found out some info, but oh man, crazy stuff going on.
You care to share that info that you got tonight?
Oh no, I do not have that verification yet.
Oh boy. So I'm assuming, I'm going to take a wild guess, Carson Wentz is no longer your starting quarterback.
I was on board with Jacob Eason, but once we got Carson Wentz, I'm like, okay, we have him. I believe the last time I was on here, I was pretty adamant that it won't happen, but hey, I mean, Frank Reich pushed for it. He was banging the table on Chris Ballard's desk, and he got his guy.
Yeah, well, listen, stranger things have happened as we talk about it all the time when it comes to the NFL, man. And we didn't see it coming either. Believe it or not, I mean, we heard rumors. Obviously, we knew that Doug was on the outs for the obvious reasons on Game 16 there, which I'm pretty sure the Giants are going to love us the first time we meet you on a divisional round. But we keep hearing rumors all the time. Oh, he's not happy, like Aaron Rodgers right now in Green Bay. He's not happy. But did we see this trade actually going to happen? I don't think, truthfully, anybody saw it coming. But, again, we hope nothing but the best for Carson Wentz up there in Indy. By the way, thanks to you guys for your head coach, because he's impressing a lot of people down here in Philly, as you said, Michael, that he was going to end up doing. The staff that he's surrounding himself with, it seems like he did put the guys in place that we need. So the shakeup around here in Philly is looking good. All we have to do is, of course, wait until the preseason, see what happens. And then we have the extra game this year. So, India, we haven't heard too much of what's been going on up there. I know it's been fairly quiet at this point. Can you fill us in on anything new that's been going on with the Colts?
Before I do that, I actually saw something earlier about the Eagles. And it was a tweet from, I'm not sure if this is a Philly media guy, but Rob Maddie?
Rob Maddie.
Rob Maddie, okay. So he quoted Eagles GM Howie Roseman, "We've made some mistakes forcing picks and positions. We've spent so much time on this draft and process and so much discussions about the players in this draft that we're not going to reach. We're going to take the best guys." I can tell you right now, that is Nick Sirianni. He has made his stamp on Philadelphia already, because that is exactly what Chris Ballard does. He says it all the time. I'm not going to reach. I'm not just going to take guys just to take guys. We're not going to force it. That's how you get in trouble. Chris Ballard literally said that the other day on Friday. Like, you have edge and left tackle as a need, but hey, we're not going to force anything. And clearly Nick Sirianni has learned so much, and he's already making a difference for that clown in Howie Roseman. He's already making a difference. But in terms of the Colts, look, we're all excited to have Carson Wentz, having him. Ballard said, Andrew Luck type, obviously the tools, the measurables, the arm. I've never had questions about his ability. It's always been from the neck up. Where is he at mentally? How strong is he? Can he be coached? And that time will tell. But in terms of the draft, I think the Colts in the first round got the steal of the draft, getting Kwity Paye. The best run-stopping defensive end in the class. The measurables are there, the athleticism. He had a better 3-cone time than Tyreek Hill. And that just shows his change of direction, the flipping, the flexibility in his hips. It's just explosion. And the Colts were primed and ready to trade back. But that's what Chris Ballard does. His biggest thing is value. And he got perfect value at 21. At Kwity Paye was, when on their big board, I believe he was in the top 6. I personally believe that from what I've been told, and he fell into their lap. Obviously, there was a huge run on offensive players, quarterbacks, receivers, linemen, and deservedly so. Those are top-notch guys, and y'all even got Davonte Smith, which was very weird to see a trade go down between division rivals. That was very strange to see, especially a rivalry like Philadelphia and Dallas. So, Jerry, being a fool again. So,
right.
I think, and then the pick today, Deo. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he is from Vanderbilt. He tore his Achilles in January prepping for the Senior Bowl. So he's going to be out, in my opinion. We haven't heard anything. Obviously, he just got drafted, so there's not going to be much info for us. But I think he's a defensive tackle for us. I don't think he's a defensive end. He projects as a defensive tackle. Certainly the size, 6'6", 280, definitely can be down there in the trenches. But that pick just caught me so off guard. There was so much talent falling. And when Cleveland traded up, I knew it had to be Joke. I've been such a huge Joke fan. I wanted to get him on our defense. I just think our defense is just ascending. And when Cleveland traded up, I already knew who they were getting. Samuel Cosme obviously fell off the board, but I was a huge Terrace Marshall guy. He was, I believe, number 4 on their receiver list, but the Deo pick, that caught me so off guard. I was speechless. We were on live stream and we were speechless for like 30 seconds. And right. It kind of rubbed me the wrong way because Chris Ballard has come out and he's mentioned guys like Tyquan Lewis, Kamoko Toure, who had a horrible ankle injury, kind of like what Dak suffered. It was just a clean break. And Ben Bandigu, a guy that I'm a huge fan of. I'm a TCU fan. He came from TCU. He mentions how this year is a big year for him. Always mentions how they can be great. But then you double down on defensive end. Well, I think Dale can be a defensive tackle. So I kind of question that philosophy. Obviously, I think we're going to hear from Ballard maybe here in a little bit. But it's certainly a question that I plan on asking Kevin Rogers on Saturday, the director of player development for the Colts. It's very interesting that they doubled down at that position.
Is there any concern that Indianapolis did not select an offensive lineman to protect Carson Wentz, being that one of their offensive linemen in the offseason retired?
No concern at all. Well, if you ask the fans, yeah, they think we're going to suck. We're going to go 2-14 apparently. But when you look at this offensive tackle class, it's deep everywhere. I still think there's guys on the board that the Colts can take. But Chris Ballard even came out last night, and he said there's not a lot of prototypical left tackles. Now, the thing about Ballard, guys, he has his measurables at each position that he wants, at every position. At defensive end, 33-inch arms. He doesn't want 31. He doesn't want 30. He wants those long arms, athletes. And when you look at the Colts defensive line, athletes everywhere. Just look at DeForest Buckner, for Christ's sake. So he has his measurables. But for left tackle, for me, it's not an issue. I think Ballard has been specific about saying they're going to put the best 5 on the field. He hasn't, specified that in any way. I think Quentin Nelson's going to stay at left guard. Braden Smith, our right tackle, who is due for an extension, I think he makes the move to left tackle. And a guy who actually performed pretty well, Will Holden, who is a backup right now, I think he can slide in at right tackle. So if we came out of this draft without a tackle, I wouldn't have a problem with it because I think Braden Smith has the athleticism to play left tackle. He is definitely a top 5 right tackle in the league, and he doesn't get that credit enough. Will Holden at the right tackle position, I think he can be very serviceable. I think he held his own against TJ Watt when the Colts played them, when they were down Anthony and Braden Smith in that game. So I don't see too much of a concern.
All right. I know I have Ryan. Of course, I'm going to catch him off guard here because he's probably got peanuts or something else in his mouth. So I want to go to Ryan to see if he has a question here.
Well, the bottom line for me is when it comes to Carson Wentz and the whole Colts team is good. You know, and I've discussed this with Eagles fans. Frank Reich was Carson Wentz's quarterback whisperer. He kept him stable. He kept him level. And I just think that the team that look the only team that the Colts have to worry about in that division is the Titans.
I'm sorry, but I can't make out what you're saying.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you a little bit. I think there's a TV on in the background or something.
What about now? Can you hear me a little bit clearer?
A little bit clearer, yes.
Okay. So Frank Reich is Carson Wentz's quarterback whisperer, and I have no doubt with the team that the Colts have. Look, they've got a hell of a running game. The offensive line's intact. That defense, you're right, is on the ascend. And the only team that they have to worry about in that division are the Titans. It's going to go back and forth between the Colts and the Titans for the next couple of years. And the thing of it is, with the team that Wentz has around him now, all he has to do is not make the big mistake mentally. And I've talked about this before with Sherman, with Angel. Look, when you have the material around you to be a successful quarterback, you are just going to be that much more confident. When you don't have the material around you, you are going to press, you are going to force, you are going to make the mistakes, and it's going to mess with your confidence. I don't see that happening with Frank Reich. So I think that Wentz is going to be a big success in Indy. They are going to challenge the Titans. And I would even say that the Titans are in a little bit of trouble now.
I mean, I agree wholeheartedly. When you look at the fact that Tennessee has lost a lot on their defense, they brought back Bud Dupree, who's recovering from, I believe it's an ACL. I can't remember if it was an Achilles or an ACL, but he is recovering from a major injury. You don't know what he's going to be in the contract that he received. My goodness, man, that was big. They drafted Caleb Farley last night. They have some secondary issues, but Caleb Farley, dealing with injuries all over. I mean, is he going to be ready week 1? So I don't fear Tennessee in any way. I really don't. I don't think there's anything about Tennessee to fear other than Derrick Henry, and that is the only thing on Tennessee's team that I fear, if you could say that word. But to Frank Reich and Carson, I mean, look, Frank is a leader of men. He's built up young men before. I mean, he was a former minister. I mean, he kind of knows, how to be a leader. And getting Carson here, I don't know. I mean, only Carson knows how broken down he was mentally last year. I've been very vocal about how he handled the situation. I don't think it was all of his fault, but he definitely had a hand in it. In Indy, Chris Ballard is going to challenge him. Frank Reich is going to challenge him. They are going to coach him. And like you said it, he has no excuse to lose. Not lose. He has no excuse to fail, rather. You got the running game. I mean, you have all kinds of running backs. You have Jonathan Taylor. Marlon Mack is coming back from an Achilles injury. You have Nyheim Hines, Swiss Army knife, run, pass catch, everything. And for right now, I think he's a trade option in the draft, but you have Jordan Wilkins on the roster right now. Running game. Tight ends, I think you want to address that. I mean, from what I know, Chris Ballard is monitoring Zach Ertz in Philadelphia. He's got his eye, solid on Zach Ertz. From what I've heard, so he has it all, man. There's no excuse for him, and I think when it comes to Carson, just go out there and ball out, man. Just stop overthinking a lot. I saw, I'm not in the know. I'm not in Philadelphia's locker room, but it wasn't hard to see that Carson didn't want to be in Philadelphia. He didn't want to be coached by Doug Peterson. He was fed up. I believe at the start of the season, his whole heart was in it, but all of the injuries, the losses, the adversity, I think that really got to him. And it's all on Carson Wentz, man. I mean, Chris Ballard, Frank Reich, they're going to do what they do, and they're very good at their jobs. But I haven't committed to the Colts because of Carson Wentz. As a contender, I haven't committed because I don't know what Carson I'm going to get. I don't know until week 1 is here. it's easy to go into training camp. Man, he's firing on all cylinders, but that's training camp. No one's trying to hit you. No one's legitimately trying to put you on your behind. So I'm excited to see where that goes.
Well, let's stick to the offensive side of the ball. You talked receiver a little bit, and I know you said you were a big fan of Paris Marceau. Right now, the Colts have 3 receivers, T.Y. Hilton, Michael Pittman, and Paris Campbell. All have had their injuries from here and there. What wide receiver currently on the board do you like, and what receiver do you think the Colts will end up taking?
Oh, man. That's on the board right now.
I will read them to you because I have that up.
A lot of them have come off, man.
Tylan Wallace, Shi Smith, Cade Johnson, Sage Stewart, Tyler Vaughns, Amon-Ra St. Brown at USC. I know he got a lot of hype. Trying to see if there's any other notable ones. Travion Grimes from Florida. Cornell Powell, my man out of Clemson. I'm a student at Clemson, so I got to have my Clemson boys.
Amon-Ra St. Brown. I was actually high on him coming into the draft. I wanted him as a pretty solid 3rd-round pick, but then we had to give that to Philadelphia. But I believe, and you said he's still on the board, so I would take him. I think pairing him up with Michael Pittman again, I mean, they're both coming from USC. I think that would be great. T.Y. Hilton has struggled with injuries. Michael Pittman had dead leg syndrome or drop leg syndrome. I mean, whatever that is. I mean, his leg went numb. He couldn't feel his leg. I mean, I remember him describing it. His fiance was in the bed, and he literally saw that she hit his leg. Like, I mean, you lay in bed and accidentally you hit someone. And he said, I didn't feel that. He was just like, hey, hit my leg again. And he didn't feel it. So that was very weird. Paris Campbell, I mean, we don't even know. We don't even know who Paris Campbell is right now. I mean, injuries have I'm gonna quote Chris Ballard. He's just had bad luck. I mean, the injury he suffered this year, that is horrible. I mean, when you have a guy tackle you down low, below your knee, and you have another guy tackle you high in an awkward stance, that's gonna end bad, and it ended badly. He only played in 7 games his rookie year, very limited snaps, mind you. So we don't know who he is right now. So I do trust that lineup. T.Y. Hilton still has a lot of game. I'm very high on Michael Pittman. I think he's a future number 1. We have Zach Pascal also. We have Desmond Patman, who played for Washington State last year. Not last year. 2 years ago, he was on the practice squad, and that dude is ripped. I'm excited to see where he is. So, yeah, in terms of the draft, I'm getting to the point now to where if Amon-Ra St. Brown is off and maybe Tylan Wallace, I'm just so 50-50 on him, I'm going to, pass on wide receiver.
Right. And listen, I got some quick breaking news. So I got to make sure I bring in the right person for the breaking news. So stand by. Here is the breaking news sound alert. And with that is the breaking news man himself. It is Fuji. Fuji finally back from. Now, listen, Fuji, I'm going to tell you something here. When I say you're at the link cleaning up, you got to go with it. No, you came out and you said, yeah, well, see, you kind of blew that one. But anyways, everyone, Mike Fuji here with the breaking news. And the breaking news is just Mike Fuji. So, Fuji, how are you?
Good, just like the prodigal son I've returned.
Yeah. Well, obviously, we have on Mike Terrazas back from the Indianapolis Colts.
How you doing, Mike?
Hey, Mike.
Been a while.
Been a while, man, but I've kept up with y'all.
How's your new quarterback out there in Indianapolis?
He seems happier. I'll tell you that. He seems much happier. Got his daughter with him, and I just don't know how to feel. I mean, when it broke, the more it dragged on, the more it felt like it was going to get done. Because, Frank Reich just kept pounding the desk, just kept pounding. I want Carson, and this is Frank's guy. So he pushed for it.
Now, I'm going to bring two other guys on as well because I know they're here on standby, and we're going to keep this in the AFC. So we're going to add to the mix here from the AFC. We have number one, and I see him adjusting with the big Browns dog chain. It is Just Joe Cleveland. Joe, what is going on?
What's up, guys? How's everybody doing on draft night?
Doing great. How you doing?
How are you? Man, I couldn't be happier and I couldn't be more excited for the 2021 season, man. I'll be honest.
Well, listen, before we bring, because we're going to keep in the AFC and not that far away actually from Indy. But before we do that, I want to show some here to Cleveland Joe, who hasn't been on with us for a while. Where is it? Oh, I believe it is right here.
Hey, yo. Quiet. Hello?
Hey, Greg, this is Megan calling from the Cleveland Browns. How are you?
Doing good. How you doing?
Good. Hey, I'm going to connect you to your our general manager, or head coach, or ownership group, okay?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
All right, I'm going to hang up on that text so you can jump on, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, no problem.
Cleveland.
How about that, Joe? Greg Newsome II over to the Cleveland Dog Pound. How do you feel about that one?
Hey, I'll be honest, man. I actually like the pick, but it does got me scratching my head a little bit because we got Greedy Williams, we got Denzel Ward, and then we from the Rams we got Troy Hill, and he's a good cornerback too. So it's going to be weird to see how that plays out. I don't know if our team can hold 4 cornerbacks. Maybe they put him on special teams or something, but I am excited. His whole family looked like they were ecstatic that he picked Cleveland. I mean, Cleveland is America's new team. I gotta say, screw the Cowboys. I think the Brownies are America's new team. So
gross.
Exciting.
Love it.
Now we have two guys on right now whose teams both went 11-5 last year and were both in the playoffs. Does the Cleveland Browns play the Indianapolis Colts next year? Do we know that?
I don't believe so.
I think the Colts went in the right direction, though. I don't know if we planned, but the Colts definitely went in the right direction in the offseason getting Carson Wentz. It's just about Carson Wentz. I got to see if his durability. He's had a couple good seasons, but his career has been plagued with injuries so far, so it's hard to say what the Colts are going to get with him.
Now, the next guy I want to bring on here, I feel bad, and my heart goes out to him because we know how it feels in Philly when you make it back to the dance and you fall short. It's terrible. So with that being said, it is Boyo. Boyo, ¿cómo está? How are you, sir?
Very good, fine. Thank you for the introduction, Angel. I had to remember the best day of my life, the Super Bowl. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, listen, they got back there. You know who I blame it on, Pollo? I blame it on Andy Reid's son. He caused a distraction for you guys not to win the back-to-back championships.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of things. First of all, the Andy's son was pretty strange. I mean, he's now maybe going to jail. Everything is not clear right now. But, he's the mastermind, Andy Reid. Everybody knows it. There's offensive coordinator, but Andy Reid moves everything. And with your son 2 days before in that car crash, I don't know. I saw Andy Reid very different. Do we need to talk about Super Bowl right now?
Probably not, but the good thing is at least Kansas City. Now, I know they don't have to make too many moves because you guys are getting a lot of your players back come this season. Patrick Mahomes, I know when he played in the playoffs, I know he was playing injured. So I don't know if you've heard much as far as his injury progress, but I know he's been feeling a lot better, obviously, than he did come the end of the postseason. So where does Patrick Mahomes stand right now?
He looks okay. everybody in the media was like, "Oh, look at Mahomes' picture. He has a boot in his leg, right? He had a surgery for a turf toe. So, I mean, everybody asks some doctors, and they say it's just like a 3-month recovery. So he will be okay for training camp."
Okay.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. I have a quick question for you. Chiefs traded their first-round pick for Orlando Brown. Just tell us kind of what the reaction was in Kansas City, and what are your thoughts on acquiring Orlando Brown instead of taking someone with that 31st pick?
I mean, I love it. I love the pick. You saw at the beginning of the free agency, the Chiefs going after Trent Williams. He's maybe the best offensive tackle in the league, right? But they were offering a $25 million per year to a 33-year-old left tackle. So you're like, okay, he has the level, the playing level. You're okay, he's the best maybe. But 25 years, I mean, $25 million per year to a 33-year-old, that's risky. And then they go all out 2 days before the draft for a 24-year-old left tackle. I mean, that's great. That's almost like a draft pick. You see Tavon Jenkins. He's a right tackle, a rookie right tackle, 23-year-old. And so you traded a first-round pick for a 2-time Pro Bowler. I mean, that's pretty strange to do it right before the draft. So everybody in Kansas City are like, okay, we gotta pay him the next year, but you are going to pay a premier position, a left tackle, and so I don't see a problem in there. Everybody saw Patrick Mahomes' problems in the Super Bowl. It wasn't Patrick Mahomes' problems. I mean, it was the offensive lineman. So there was a picture of Mahomes getting sandwiched by 2 defenders, and Brad Pitt said, "I don't want to see this again in my life." So he went all in for offensive linemen the whole of the season. You saw the trade. You saw Joe Thuney big contract. I'm not a fan about that contract. It's 16 per year for a guard. It's not a premier position, but I mean, you are protecting the best player in your team and maybe the best player in the NFL. So I'm all in spending assets and money to protecting Mahomes.
Yeah. Well, shifting to Cleveland Joe, I've got 2 questions for you. First, what are your thoughts on Cleveland hosting the draft? It's been interesting. The fans just sit on that Roger Goodell couch. I actually know some people volunteering there, and they said it's been a pretty cool scene. But tell us about the scene in Cleveland hosting the draft, and tell us about Jeremiah Owusu or JOK, the Notre Dame.
Thank you. The boy from Notre Dame. I swear he should have went in the first round. He's ACC Player of the Year, and he won the Butt Kiss Award. I mean, this guy is good. I watched his highlights before I even knew we got him, and that's what I wanted them to get first was a linebacker. But I'm so glad they got him anyway. So I mean, honestly, our roster's loaded. There's not many spots that we need filled. I mean, with Odell Beckham Jr. coming back, we're not going to need much wide receiving. We signed Higgins, and we got Jarvis Landry, and we got Njoku, Hooper. I mean, so for my eyes, I'm glad we got him, but I thought he should have went in the first round. But this guy, man, he's huge. He's a monster. He's going to fill the middle of that linebacking core. I mean, and nobody's going to be able to run on us. With the addition of Clowney and my man Myles Garrett, I mean, we're built for run stopping. And hosting the draft, I was downtown yesterday. I was downtown today, and the atmosphere is great. I mean, it was rainy and cold yesterday, but the sun came out today. I mean, everybody's downtown. They're loving it. You would think that we're hosting the Super Bowl. It's crazy. I mean, everybody's so happy, and that's all anybody's talking about. You know, Cleveland's got a lot of backlash the past 20 years with our franchise, but I really think Eric Berry and Kevin Stefanski's changing us around. I mean, Eric Berry, this man deserves General Manager of the Year. And Kevin Stefanski, we were 0-16 just 3 years ago. And Kevin Stefanski won Coach of the Year, and he deserved it. I think Baker Mayfield's going to take a step forward again. And you better watch out, Kansas City. I'm telling you, we're going to want that rematch, and it ain't going to go down like that again. I mean, we're the ones that put that hurting on Patrick Mahomes, and if it wasn't for a bad call, because you know that was a touchdown. Even you're a Chiefs fan, you know it's a touchdown. That was a touchdown all day. But anyway, we're looking into the future. Man, this year's just looking great, man. It's progress. It's a chance for our franchise to get some back of the, credibility we had in the past. I mean, back in the 50s and 60s, we won 10 championships. Yeah, they weren't Super Bowls, but we're trying to get back to that, and I can tell that's what they're doing. And I'm so excited as a Browns fan. I'm 35 years old. I've been watching the Browns my whole life. I lived in Tampa for a long time, and the Bucs is my other team. But man, it's just finally good to see a winning record, a playoff berth, a playoff win, a good coach, a good quarterback. I mean,
it feels nice, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it really does, man. And I'm not trying to be on my high horse or anything, but it's for the first time in my life I feel like I actually can be on my high horse. I think this year is the Browns' year for real.
It seems like the AFC is so much more stacked than the NFC. And for all three of you as representatives of the Chiefs, the Browns, and the Colts respectively, do the fan bases ever feel like, oh man, we're in the AFC with all this competition? If we were in the NFC, the road to the Super Bowl would be so much easier. Michael, we haven't heard from you in a couple minutes. Could you chime in with that question? If the Colts were in the NFC, does the fan base feel that it would be an easier road to the Super Bowl, or do you prefer the competition of all the heavyweights in the AFC, like the Cleveland, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Steelers, and the Miami Dolphins, and any other team that you want to throw in there?
Well, let me start off by saying this. I absolutely loved the competition in the AFC this year. I mean, a 10-6 team missed the playoffs. Think about that. Yeah. 10-6 team. That is a successful, very good football team. And they missed the playoffs.
And you can blame the Steelers for that, because the Steelers essentially tanked that game, and Cleveland then showed the Steelers what the Cleveland Browns were really about the next week when they put a hurting on the Steelers in that wild card game. But go on. You were 100% correct. A 10-6 team, Miami Dolphins, they did miss the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, I just love the parity. I think playing Buffalo, that was probably one of the best games the Colts played. I thought the Colts were the better team, but just some mental mistakes cost them. And that's going to happen in the playoffs. In terms of the NFC, I'll tell you this. I want to be in the NFC East. That's a guaranteed division title every year. I want to be there. I am a huge fan of Ron Rivera and what Washington is doing right now. They are my favorite to win the NFC East. They got better defensively, better offensively. They got the better head coach in the division. I mean, you just look at it up and down. I love the team.
I'm going to go with the Eagles.
No.
The Eagles are probably going to be like 6-11 this year.
Well, if they would have took Justin Fields, I would probably feel a little bit different. But Jalen Hurts is not a starter in the league. His arm is not that great. He can't throw guys open. I'm not sure about his ability to read an NFL defense. And I'm not even taking into account his games this year. Those don't count for me. Everyone was injured. He was set up to fail. I'm not taking those into account. Next year is going to be his rookie year for me. I want to see what he builds off of. Everyone's got to get healthy. But looking at the NFC as a whole, I mean, Tampa Bay. You can. I mean, hell, we beat Green Bay. We won the NFC North. We're the NFC North champions. We swept that division. Green Bay, NFC East teams. New Orleans. What are they going to be? The NFC West is really what's going to give Tampa Bay their competition. LA, Arizona. I love what Arizona did last night in the draft. I'm a Zaven Collins guy. The 49ers, what's going to go on with Trey Lance? Is he going to start day one? You might as well. I mean, you took him with the number 3 overall pick. Quit jacking around. Send Jimmy G to New England and acting like you care about him because you don't. So I would actually, this might sound surprising, but I would rather stay in the AFC because I want to face the best. I don't care who I face. If
they come to the AFC North.
Oh, well, then we'll win that one.
I'll trade.
Because in the NFC North, you have an aging Ben Roethlisberger who can't throw the ball downfield. Their defense it's solid, but their offensive line is crumbling. You look in Cleveland, no one takes them serious. I'm sorry. They don't take them serious yet. And then Lamar throws 2 feet over everyone else's head. So they got a new quarterback in Rashad Bateman, but I don't want to hear any excuses about them not getting Lamar any talent because that's been my thing. I'm a Lamar guy. I love him to death, but let's be honest. He's not that great of a thrower of the football.
Hey, you said Cleveland is what it is. Cleveland is going to be Cleveland, right? But we beat you last year.
Well, the games because my whole stance on the entire season is everything last season depended on what Phillip Rivers we got week in and week out. And you can go back to my show and watch every single episode because I was consistent on it.
I gotta say, I want to say thank you to the Colts fan though, because we were 4-2 and no one took us serious until we beat the Colts.
I will say that, yeah. I mean, just back to my point. I mean, that was bad Phillip Rivers, and it didn't surprise me that we got beat because the defense was actually doing to start. Oh my God, that was the stuff Baker Mayfield was running at Oklahoma. I mean, just drop back to pass, play action, throw over the middle. I mean, come on now. I actually, without giving away anything from the news I got tonight, I hate Matt Eberflus, our defensive coordinator. I'm out on him. I want him to be fired immediately. Never be back in the NFL. But being a cover 2 scheme in today's NFL sets you up for failure. I mean, especially against that scheme Cleveland runs, it is at its best when it's going up against zone. And that's what happened in the first half. Jarvis Landry had 90 receiving yards in the first quarter in that game. I mean, it was just mayhem all over the place. But Phillip Rivers had one of the best years of his career at 39 years old. That's how great of a coach Frank Reich is. He got one of the best seasons out of a guy who can't run, is not an athlete, has a ridiculous throwing form, but he took a team 11-5 and nearly beat a team that went to the AFC Championship game. So I love the parity. I would have loved our chances against Kansas City. I don't respect their defense at all. The defense is just, I mean, Sorensen, I don't think he's a starter in the league, but in Kansas City he is. Tyrann Mathieu is a popular name, but he gets beat often. Chris Jones. I'm sorry. I'm going through so many names. I'm a draft guy. I have so many names on my head right now. But Chris Jones and Frank Clark, they're solid guys. But when I look at KC defense and how they matched up with Indianapolis, they were going to get mauled. I mean, that's just the offensive line. They were going to get mauled. They had no toughness up front. Now, Nick Bolton, who they just drafted, that is an amazing draft pick. He brings toughness. He brings skill. But in the AFC, man, I can confidently say if Carson Wentz turns into the guy I think he's going to be, I am confidently saying I don't fear anyone in the AFC. I don't. Our run game is probably the second best behind Cleveland. Offensive line is the best in the AFC. And the quarterback, I mean, I'll take, again, if Carson is who I think he is, I'll take him over everyone else except Patrick Mahomes, obviously.
Well, I think you're going to be eating your words after the end of the season because I just don't see that. I'm sorry.
Wait, after the what?
After the season, I think you're going to be eating your words because I really can't see the Colts doing all that. I really don't believe Carson Wentz is a Pro Bowl player. I think he's a backup. Like, I honestly do. I think he's overrated. He had a couple good years. And, you know, if it wasn't for Nick Foles, he wouldn't even have a Super Bowl ring. So, I don't know.
Okay, I want to get into this a little bit. So, I did so much studying on Carson Wentz the last couple of years, not just 2019. The biggest thing I saw, he pulls the ball down when the first read is open. I don't know why he did it, but it just spoke to me that he just doesn't want to be in Philadelphia. I feel like he sabotaged it a little bit. But when I went back to 2017, 2016, I went back and I saw he's got the offensive line. He's got the running game. He has weapons. That's everything Indy had. He was making all the throws. He was 11-2 in the clear-cut MVP before he got hurt. And what's changed? The arm hasn't changed. I don't think so. I mean, that game-winning touchdown to Scott on Thursday Night Football against the Giants, that told me his arm talent is still there. He's not a backup. He is a Pro Bowl talent, but it's everything in his head. I don't question the tools of Carson Wentz.
I only say that, but hear me out. I only say that because, as some of you might know, I was on a show called the Cleveland's Finest Podcast, and my record on picking just football games was 130. 100 wins I picked right and 30 losses. And one of those was an Eagles versus a Giants game where I got the exact score exactly right. And I'm telling you, that's the biggest thing. If Carson Wentz can stay healthy and stay on the field, I mean, okay, yes, he is a starter, but I don't see him, his durability. If he's gonna do it, he's got to play with a chip on his shoulder, and he's got to prove it first year coming out of the gate, first game. He's just got to throw 400 yards, throw 4 or 5 TDs, and prove to everybody that, you know, he is the Colts' future. Because, I mean, if he really did that to the Philly and the Philly fans, is what you said, then, I mean, that's a pretty shitty person, mind my language. You know, if he didn't like the situation there, I mean, he could still played, you know, his heart out and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, he pulled a LeBron, he kind of quit on him, but I don't know.
Hey, I mean,
I just don't see it.
I've been vocal, and I think I said it when I was on the show a couple months back that I don't think Carson Wentz is the leader the Colts need. I've been vocal about that. The leadership qualities I don't think are all there. I mean, Andrew Luck is the epitome of a leader. So I grade everything to a comparison of him. I don't think Carson Wentz needs to be that leader because, I mean, when you got guys like Ryan Kelly, Quentin Nelson, T.Y. Hilton that are veterans that already have the heart and soul of this team, I don't think you need that. But speeding it up here a little bit, I know you guys probably want to talk about some other things, but with Carson, man, nothing is for sure. But to say he needs to do all of that day one is ludicrous to me. On day one,
I'd like to see Aaron Rodgers on the Colts. I think he would thrive.
That's not happening. That's not.
Yeah, I know, but I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it.
Oh, trust me, I would love.
That'd be a good fit.
But I mean, Green Bay literally put themselves in this hole only to once again not get him any help and go draft a corner. I mean,
right.
Yeah, they did get Amari Rodgers though. And got to support the Clemson boys. So Amari Rodgers could be a nice little piece. Any injury concern with Carson Wentz at all? In the last 2 years, he hasn't been able to play more than, 12 games, 13 games? Well, Any injury concern there?
Well, I mean, Carson Wentz hasn't been able to play, but neither have his linemen.
Right.
So,
But are there so there are no injury concerns?
No, there's no injury concerns. He's fully healthy as far as I know right now. He hasn't been taken in for any exams or anything like that. He's fully healthy.
Wentz has played the last 2 years. I mean, health, injury free. So
he played through all that.
Right.
Just making sure. And what schematically, Carson Wentz? Like, what do you think schematically Frank Reich is going to do that Doug Peterson didn't? Because I know a lot of like when they brought Nick Foles in, like Doug Peterson, when he like changes his scheme to help Nick Foles, like what do you think Frank Reich's going to do schematically to help Carson Wentz so he doesn't end up in another Philly situation?
I absolutely love that question. So this might actually be surprising, but I think Frank Reich is going to use Carson Wentz's legs, honestly, because he has that mobility.
He's amazing throwing on the run.
Right.
It's already been proven.
He's going to use it. No, I mean like designed quarterback runs. That's what I think he's going to utilize, especially Frank Reich loves to go for it on 4th and 1. So you'll see it there.
This is what you're doing. You're reaching. I'll give you one thing. He is a bigger quarterback and he can run through some people, but I don't see him running though. Like
well, I mean, here's the thing we got to always remember. A player can have certain problems, or you could be scared for the player. But Frank Reich is not going to be scared for his player. He believes in Carson Wentz, and Frank Reich believes in Frank Reich. He is the leader of this offensive scheme, and what Frank Reich wants to do, he's going to do.
But would it be smart? Would it be smart for Frank Reich to put him in a situation that he's going to run with the football and he has so many, he's injury prone? Why would you put him in that kind of situation?
Because Wentz, excuse me, Mike. Wentz when he throws, Wentz is at the best when he throws on the run. It's already been proven.
Here's another thing. Indianapolis is not Philadelphia. They're not getting injured. They actually put talent on they draft talent in the draft.
Well, let's say this. Let's go back to 2017. The Eagles had Alshon Jeffrey, Torrey Smith, Zach Ertz, Jay Ajayi, LeGarrette Blount, Corey Clement, Nelson Aguilar. Wentz had an arsenal around them. After Frank Reich left, his career just went down the toilet in this town because Doug Peterson just didn't do what Frank Reich did for Carson Wentz.
No.
Point blank. That's why he went 11-2 until he tore his ACL in the Rams game and Nick Foles took over. That's why the Eagles went to the Super Bowl.
I love the battle back and forth between Joe and Michael going at it between the Browns and the Colts. And here's Pollo just sitting there the whole time. Kansas City went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and they won the Super Bowl. And then last year they went to the Super Bowl and lost. So, Pollo, I'm going to ask you, Kansas City Chiefs Nation, who do they feel is the biggest threat to overtaking them in the AFC? Is it the Colts? Is it the Browns? Is it the Bills? Or is it some other team? Yeah, Ryan, I know. Kansas City right now is sitting on the perch. They have the Super Bowl ring, and they got to the Super Bowl last year. But who's the biggest threat to them right now as far as Kansas?
Come on.
I mean, you got to see the quarterback. That's everything right now, the quarterback. I mean, you see Patrick Mahomes is going to score 30 or more points in the playoffs always. It's Patrick Mahomes is like LeBron James. He's at his best in the playoffs. Okay, so for me, it's again the Buffalo Bills. You have the offensive power, you have a better running game, and you have Josh Allen. Josh Allen, he had like 2 MVP votes, just like Patrick Mahomes. So right now, for me, Allen is the second best quarterback in the AFC, and you gotta see it through there. To beat the Chiefs, you gotta score at least 30 points. I know the Super Bowl, we scored 9 points, but I mean, that's just something crazy. 80% of the line, the offensive line, was injured. Right now, it's gonna be different. Right now, Patrick Mahomes will be drinking tea before throwing a pass. So I don't see right now the Eagles. The Colts. They are a very great team. They're a very complete team. But like I said, it's everything on the quarterback right now. The whole league is in the whole league right now is a quarterback league. It's a passing league. So I don't see right now the Colts. I see the Browns because they can run all over us again. I don't know why they start. Yeah, I don't know why they stopped running against us. That's the whole thing about the Chiefs opponents. They stopped running. You see, in the Super Bowl we won, the Niners had the game, and I don't know why they stopped running. Actually, Tyrann Mathieu said, I don't know why they stopped running, but I'm thankful for that. So if the Browns stay true to their game and they run and run and run and play action and run and play action, just like the Bucs did. Stefanski did. That's his game plan, not only against the Chiefs. That's his game plan all over the season. You saw it in Minnesota. So I fear the Browns because of the two-headed monster they have, because of Baker Mayfield. He has all the attributes he needs. He might not be like a 2, 3, 4 read quarterback, but you don't have to be in that system. You have to be just an accurate quarterback, that he is an accurate quarterback, and with two really good wide receivers. So I'm scared of the Browns, but for me, the number one threat for the Chiefs are the Bills right now.
And
you don't have to be scared of the Browns because you got Patrick Mahomes. I'm sorry for interrupting, but you got Patrick Mahomes, and you ain't got to be scared of the Browns. The Bills, though, that's a good take. I listened to everything you said, and that was a good take.
I don't just to chime in. I don't know about the Bills because the Bills are more of a passing offense. I mean, it's not a balanced the offense is not balanced with the running game.
When I think about, and I absolutely love this debate, I think it's actually about to turn into a fiery one. When I look at someone who can be a threat to Kansas City, all I need is just two questions to be answered. Who can run the ball against them, and who can stop the run? We know Kansas City can't stop the run. We know that. They're not tough. You need to be tough to stop the run. They're one of the worst rushing defenses in the league. Cleveland and Indy do that very well. Two of the best in the league. Cleveland over Indy because of that two-headed monster. As much as I love Jonathan Taylor, I mean, come on now. I think I would give up Jonathan Taylor for Chubb and Hunt. But in terms of the defensive front, right now, I really don't know who has the better defensive front. DeForest Buckner, Myles Garrett. I would take Buckner over Garrett, although they're two different positions. The one tech, Grover Stewart, is a very good run stopping. I think the best run stopping. He's the best run stopping nose tackle in the game. But at defensive end, there's so many questions. And for Cleveland, Jadeveon Clowney, in the secondary, Julian Blackmon, Kari Willis. That safety tandem is here to stay. Corner, Xavier Rhodes, what can he do at 30? In Cleveland, it always seems like they're trying to draft a corner. I don't know why. Like, is it not working out in Cleveland or something? Like, why is it always corner? Like,
we're just trying to find our other side because Denzel Ward is a Pro Bowl corner. And we're just trying to find the other side. We drafted Greedy Williams, but he's been injury prone. So I think they're just trying to address the other side of the field because when you go against some of these teams that have two number one wide receivers, you need another lockdown corner. And I think that's what they're trying to do. And this guy, Greg Newsome, I've seen the tape. He looks like a lockdown corner. How we had Joe Hayden back in the day when he first came into the league. Joe Hayden was a lockdown corner. He didn't get many interceptions, but he always knocked the ball away. And that's what I think that this Greg Newsome does really well is he tackles well and he defends the ball. So I'm thinking that's what they're trying to do.
I have a question for the Colts. So, what do you think about your pass rush right now? You double dip right now in the draft, right? You saw how to beat the Chiefs, and that's pass rush, pass rush, pass rush, and with only 4 men, dropping 4-man pass rush, right? So, do you really think the Colts pass rush right now can overtake the Chiefs of a new offensive line without blitzing? Because Patrick Mahomes is at his best, even better than throwing on the move. Is at his best when you got blitzes. So 5, 6, or 7 coming at him. Do you really think you can stop Patrick Mahomes with four rushing linemen?
Well, here's the thing. That's the key to beat anyone in the NFC, or in the NFL, not just Kansas City. That's the key to beat anyone if you have a great pass rush. That's first and foremost. But right now, hell no. I mean, there's so many questions at both defensive end spots. Hell no. I mean, I would take DeForest Buckner over Chris Jones, over Frank Clark. I would take him. He's a menace. But when you look at the fact that they have Thuney, Williams, I'm a big TCU fan. I hope my guy Lucas Niang balls out. I hope he's good because he was a pretty good right tackle at TCU, only allowing like 2 sacks in his whole career. So
0.
No, I believe it was 2. I believe he gave up 1 against he gave up none his junior year. But when it comes to Kansas City, man, it's always tricky because on one side, offense is just crazy. And even when he was getting flushed out of the pocket in the Super Bowl, his crazy throws were still on point. They just weren't caught. I mean, that's the crazy thing about it. But I need to look at every team's defense before I look at everything else. I have to look at the defense. And right now, can someone stop the run? Because we know Kansas City does not run the football. So you got to be able to put your arm on that. And I think Cleveland does that well. I think Indy does that well.
Well, I'd like to put a quick take on this, and it's something that no one's brought up. And honestly, I love my Browns, but Patrick Mahomes is just on another level. And I haven't seen many teams ever stop him besides in the Super Bowl versus the Bucs. And this is the thing that I want to say. It's not just Patrick Mahomes you got to worry about. It's Tyreek Hill. This guy is so freaking fast. I mean, not many corners or safeties can catch him. So, I mean, if you do lock down Patrick Mahomes, you still got to worry about Tyreek Hill. You put your fastest guy on Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill's just going to have a field day. That's why I don't think I don't think any team could stop Patrick Mahomes on his best day.
Well, here's my philosophy going back to the Super Bowl. Excuse me. I think Todd Bowles of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the defensive coordinator, laid out the blueprint on how to shut down Mahomes and the Chiefs' offensive arsenal. You can take that to the back for the 2021 season because Mahomes got shut down, period. And that's a fact. And I'm just I'm a neutral fan, and I'm telling it like it is.
Maybe it's because he was hurt. I don't know, but that was an anomaly. Everybody had Kansas City winning that game. I had the Bucs.
Winning what game?
I didn't.
I got lucky.
I had Tampa win.
Wait, what game are we talking about?
The Super Bowl.
Super Bowl.
Oh, because he said that was an anomaly because I had mentioned Jacoby Brissett beat Patrick Mahomes. He's 1-0 against Patrick Mahomes. So
he was
I'm just saying that Jacoby Brissett beat Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I remember that game. Yeah, that's the best defensive game I've seen against Patrick Mahomes. I think the Chiefs scored 13 points against the Colts, if I don't mistake. Yeah, 13 points. That was the lowest scoring game from Mahomes before the Super Bowl. And I mean, you saw the Super Bowl. It won't happen again. You won't see 5 linemen going down before the Super Bowl. There were 5. I think there were actually 6 if you count the COVID opt-outs. So that's hard. That's really hard to overcome. So the game against the Colts was something crazy and was almost the same tactic as the Bucks. They didn't blitz. They blitzed 1 or 2 times really good with the cornerback 23, Moore, I think is his name. He's a great blitzer. Yeah, so that was hurting the Chiefs really bad. And they were playing cover 2, if I am not mistaken. That was 2 years ago, so I can remember really good. But
I remember that game well.
Yeah, was it cover 2 almost all game?
It was cover 2, and the craziest thing about it, the Colts defense was missing like 4 starters in that game. They were missing 3 starters in the secondary. They were missing Darius Leonard. So, I mean, I remember Chiefs fans even came at me. They're just like, "Oh, well, we didn't have Tyreek Hill. I'm just like, we didn't have like 7 other starters."
Yeah, I mean,
hey, I will give you something. I'll give you something real quick, though. You are right. Jacoby Brissett, man, he deserves a lot of props, man. When Andrew Luck basically quit on your franchise during the game and Jacoby Brissett took over starting position, I mean, everybody thought the Colts were dead. And he really – Jacoby Brissett rallied your team, and that was crazy. He deserves a lot of props.
Here's the thing about Jacoby Brissett, and I actually hate that word, quit. I really hate that word, especially when you use it in that context with Andrew Luck. But when
he didn't quit. He didn't quit.
He retired. He retired
during the game. I mean, say he was on the sideline. He retired during the game. You could have did it after the game.
I think they leaked that.
Okay. So let me go ahead and correct that real quick. Andrew Luck told Chris Ballard, Jim Irsay, Frank Reich the week before their plan was to have a press conference Sunday, the day after the game. But someone leaked the news. Someone did that. So,
but when you put on the uniform, and you go out there for your team, you finish the game unless you're hurt. He literally quit because the news came out.
He was hurt.
He was on the sidelines.
Hurt. Look, okay, no, now you got me fired up.
He didn't look hurt walking back to the tunnel.
Let's go.
Let's hear it. You could possibly do. He went through the worst thing you could possibly do. That's the thing. Wait, what is Mike doing?
I'm hitting the bell.
Okay. Look, Andrew Luck did not quit on this franchise. As a matter of fact, he gave everything he possibly could to this franchise. What we see is on Sunday. But what we don't see is the aches and pains when he wakes up in the morning. What we don't see is the pain he feels during therapy. What we don't see is the tears that he sheds at home because he can't be out there with his team. That to me,
I watched that game and it looked like he quit. Even the announcers were like, they were surprised.
He didn't quit.
Andrew Luck was committed.
Ryan Griggs can quit. If anything, Ryan Griggs was the one who quit on Andrew Luck and didn't get him an offensive line.
Andrew Luck came into this season committed. But once the injury and the Colts medical team really messed it up, it was a calf, it was an ankle. And the truth about it is they couldn't figure it out. And that, I mean, we don't know what Andrew Luck went through. Lacerated kidney, collarbone. I mean, he played through a lacerated kidney. Who plays through that? That is painful. But did he quit then? No, he did not. Did he quit when he kept getting sacked 20 times a game? No, he did not. What about when he had a concussion? No. What about when he had a bruised shoulder? No. What about a torn, lacerated, or torn labrum? No, he didn't quit. So to say that he quit in the middle of the game after he played through all of that Ryan Grigson put him through because he didn't want to protect him, he did not quit. He came in. He was still out there practicing. He was still out there showing Jacoby Brissett.
You just said he played through all those injuries.
Yep.
And when he walked off the field during that game, he didn't have a limp. He had his head down. All the fans were booing him. He quit.
Have you ever had a torn labrum? Do you know how painful that is? Have you ever had a lacerated kidney? Have you ever had a lacerated kidney and have a 290-pound man tackle you to the ground?
No, but he said,
no. Okay. I'm out. All I need to hear. I want you to dress up in a football uniform and go outside and throw yourself 60 pounds into a garage for every Sunday.
Look, I know about quitters. LeBron James is from Akron, Ohio. I watched him play a series versus Boston where he quit in the middle of the game, but he still finished that game. He didn't quit mid-game and walk into the locker room and say, "Hey, fuck you, teammates." No, he finished the game at least.
Here's the thing about it. What did you want Andrew Luck to do? You don't know his body. You don't know his level of pain, stress. Dude, all this stress took years off of his life. That's how it was. He put this game in front of his father, in front of his wife. He put this game he loved in front of all of that. And for once in his grown man life, he chose himself. He chose his wife. He chose to be able to.
I'll tell you what, you're probably right, and I'm probably right. Or we're both probably wrong.
Be able to hold. Andrew Luck chose that I want to walk for the rest of my life. That's what he chose.
I'm just saying it looked like he quit from like his body language, the way he was presenting himself. It looked like he quit. And then when you hear the announcers saying that, oh, Andrew Luck is going to retire during the game, it was like he quit. It looked like he quit. I don't know.
Dude, did you listen to his press conference? Did you listen to every word he said? That decision killed him.
He was crying. He was crying. You're right. He was.
If you quit, that means you no longer care about it. The fact that he was up there and he cried. He mentioned everyone he played with. He mentioned everyone he plays with currently. He cried for this, man.
Hey, did you see Twitter? Did you see Twitter after that game? Did you see how many people was saying that he quit? That's just where I got my opinion because I watched the game and then I watched Twitter and I'm like, oh, he must have quit. I don't know.
Well, okay.
Exactly. Wait. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. He doesn't know. He doesn't know.
I actually say this respectfully, actually. I'm never the kind to come out and say, oh, you're stupid, but that's the difference between someone just looking on Twitter versus someone who's I wouldn't say in the know because I wasn't in the know at the time. But when you see everything that this man went through, you say that he didn't quit. I don't go onto Twitter and say, oh, man, everyone's saying he quit. Man, he quit. No, I watched every Sunday. Every Sunday.
Well, I'm just saying, I did see the press conference. I did see the press conference, and I did see the game, and I did see Twitter. And when I got my opinion on it, because that's what it is, my opinion.
Absolutely.
My opinion was that he quit. Your opinion is he retired. And you know, we're probably both wrong. He probably still wants to play, but he can't do it anymore. So
actually, he doesn't want to play. Yeah, Chris Ballard reached out to him before they did the Carson Wentz trade, and Andrew Luck said no, he's fine.
Would you take him over Carson Wentz?
Oh, hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Y'all mind if I get a word in?
Please.
I got you. So you guys were talking about the biggest, threat to the Chiefs. Can you hear me? I got to get way up here. Can you hear me? So the biggest threat to the Chiefs isn't anybody in the NFL. It's the Chiefs themselves. It's the Chiefs themselves. Now, you were talking about the running game, and I'll give you that. The running game stinks. You go back and take a look at the stats from the Super Bowl, and we won't even talk about the Super Bowl because the referees got involved late in the first half of the Super Bowl. That's what screwed the Chiefs. But you go back and take a look at the stats, the Buccaneers ran the ball 33 times for 145 yards. Okay? Patrick Mahomes didn't play all that bad. He just felt like he had to do a lot when they were down. And I see him shaking his head, being down at the half, 14-10, as opposed to 21-10. You played differently. So it's not the Bills, it's not the Browns, it's not any of these other teams. The biggest threat to the Chiefs is themselves. And I know Fuji said that Tampa Bay had the blueprint to stop the Chiefs. That's a crock. Because, like I said, The refs got involved at the end of the first half. Ray Lewis even came out and said he doesn't even want to watch football anymore after the Super Bowl because of the way the referees were calling the game. So I had to wait an hour to say all of this.
Look,
tell me what y'all think.
Look, I love the opinion, but that's wrong. That is wrong. You know what got in the way of it? Tampa Bay beating Kansas City's ass. That's what got in the way of it, because I give you the refs, I give you the injuries, all valid. But what got in the way of Tampa Bay beating Kansas City's defense's ass? What got in the way of that?
I mean, I don't know, man. In the first half, the Tampa Bay offense, the passing game, I think they had 105 yards. And the penalties were 95 yards. I mean, their best offense was their penalties. The referees were the best offense right now in that moment. So I don't know. I don't know about that. Everybody was saying, "Oh, the Chiefs were playing horrible." No, the offense was playing horrible. The defense was playing pretty good. There was 3 and out, and then a 4 and out. The defense started very, very hot. So I don't know if the Chiefs start scoring, the game plan of the Bucs will be very different.
I wouldn't agree with that. I just think your defense got exposed. They weren't good.
As I recall, that game was lost at the end of the first half. Kansas City scored and Tampa Bay got the ball back with like a minute and a half to go. First play, they ran it around for you. This is the Super Bowl. This is the Super Bowl. Kansas City, I believe, they scored a field goal, right, at the end of the half. And Tampa Bay got the ball back with like a minute and a half. And their first play, they ran right into the pile. They were sending a message to Kansas City, hey, we just want to run out the clock for the end of the first half. And Kansas City started calling their timeouts. And when you give Tom Brady a little bit of extra time, like, didn't Kansas City learn their lesson? Think about what Tampa Bay did against Green Bay in the NFC Championship. Tampa Bay found a way with that extra time to go down the field and score that touchdown to put the dagger in the hearts of the Green Bay Packers. And 2 weeks later in the Super Bowl, Tampa Bay did the exact same thing to Kansas City. Kansas City could have went into the locker room down 13-9 or whatever the score was. In Kansas City, they were going to get the ball back in the first half. But what ends up happening? Tampa Bay scores again. Now it's 21-9 and the game's out of reach because the referees were definitely in the back pocket of Tampa Bay that night. And Kansas City, they just did not have an answer for the Tampa Bay defense. And the defense.
I watched that
game. Was right.
I watched that game. Kansas City's secondary was all out of sorts. They were confused. They didn't know. Tom Brady was toying with them. He was toying with them. And, I mean, you expect that when a team has 4 number 1s on their team. I mean, what can you do? But, no, the refs were not the problem. Kansas City's lack of defense was the problem. And that's okay to admit as long as Kansas City can fix the problem, which they haven't yet. Nick Bolton is a great start, but I watched that defense. Tyrann Mathieu getting beat left and right. Sorensen is getting beat left and right. Guys are getting double faked out of their cleats. I'm like, man, there's no technique on this team, especially in the secondary.
Well, it's a good problem to have because
if you remember,
Tampa's got an all-star offense.
Exactly.
The Eagles are not getting to the Super Bowl. Cleveland's not getting to the Super Bowl. Indy's not getting to the Super Bowl. It's Kansas City that's getting to the Super Bowl. So you know what? At the end of the day, that's a good problem to have. The Eagles are going to be waiting a hot minute before they get to the Super Bowl. Cleveland and Indy, they might be getting to the Super Bowl sometime soon, but the Eagles.
Hold on, give me a second. All right. Hey, I gotta go. I got kids. I gotta put them to bed. I just want to say one more thing, before I go. Hey, Angel, thanks for having me. Fuji.
You're welcome, Joe.
Juru, man, it's so great that y'all reached out to me. You guys I love you guys, and I love what you're doing, And Juru, I told you Justin Fields was going lower. Your mock draft was all over the place.
Atlanta screwed me. When Atlanta Kyle Pitts, I thought they were going to trade that pick, and they didn't.
And did Atlanta take Kyle Pitts? What the hell is that about, though, for real? Like, I understand he's a good tight end, but don't you think they should have went for a quarterback? Just saying. Like,
no.
I don't think Matt Ryan's, the guy anymore.
Oh, my.
But look, man, I appreciate you guys having me and shit, But I will be the first one right here to say Cleveland is going to beat Kansas City to end up in the Super Bowl this year. So
put the bottle down.
We'll find out.
Bold take there.
All right, remember that May 1st, 12:24 a.m. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
Joe, we appreciate it.
Man, thanks, man. I love you guys. Take it easy.
Be well.
Guru.
Yes.
All I'm going to say is this, Guru. I want you to take a look. Go back on YouTube and watch the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Take a look at the last minute and a half. The 2 penalties that were called on Kansas City, both pass interference calls, were horrendous.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
I said this before. Look, I said this before, and I'll say it again, and I'll defend it till the team. Okay, going down at halftime, 14-10, is a lot different than going down at halftime, 21-10, because you play differently. Because if they would have only been down 14-9 or 14-10 at the half, who knows what would have happened? I'm not saying the result would have been different. I'm not saying that. Because Tampa played really well. What I'm saying is this: it would have been a lot more competitive had the end of the first half not happened.
I agree. Kansas City scored and.
Hey, Mike, I got a question for you. Shifts a little bit away from the Super Bowl. Are you worried about Davis Mills at all in Houston or no? Davis Mills, quarterback, Stanford.
No. I fear the lawyer in Houston more than I feel the Texans. Like
they're just dead. You think they're just completely out of it at all?
Completely out of it. Completely. They'll probably win a game or two. If there's a miracle that Deshaun Watson comes back and plays, then they'll probably get 6-7 wins. But I would prefer Deshaun Watson out of my division. But
right.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say the last point that I have about the Super Bowl, I think it's ironic that we point out 2 penalties, yet the score was 31-9, and it wasn't close. But
yeah, it was not close.
I
was there. It wasn't close.
When we put the mic back on. Put the mic back. You're killing me, dude. You're absolutely.
I understand. Look,
you're killing me. Dude,
you can't come out here and say you played different. It is the Super Bowl. You don't come out and play different. You come out with the chip on your shoulder and you beat their ass. You come up, you step up or step aside, and the Chiefs step aside.
If you're down 14-9 at half, Kansas City got the ball in the second half. Who's to say they don't go down and score a touchdown at 16-14? You don't think the score would have been different than 31-9? You put your drink down. Whatever you're drinking, put it down.
Okay, wait. So, because you said that 14-9, but yet it went 21-9. So what's so different about it being 21-16 and your defense actually steps up and you score again? Now you're looking at 23-21. Ball in your court.
I am not saying that the result would have been different. What I'm saying is the score would have been different. Kansas City may still have lost. I'm not disregarding that. But if it's not going to be 31-9.
So what are we talking about if the result is not different? What are we talking about?
The good thing.
Go back. Go ahead.
What is going on right now? I actually want to hear this going on right now. Ryan, maybe you need to put down whatever you're drinking over there, pal. My goodness, man. What is going on? What on earth is going on?
About the Super Bowl.
This is ridiculous. I'm heading out. It's 12:30 in the morning, and I got to wake up early tomorrow. Angel, thank you so much. Sherm, Ryan, I'll see you. Fuge, I'll see you around. Pollo, Mike, thank you so much for being on, and I'll catch you guys in a bit.
Be well.
Right, Nick. Have a good night.
And then there were 5.
Yeah, and this may be continued for another day throughout the football season. I mean, this is great spirited conversation. And Pollo and Michael, thank you so much for coming on the show. Do you have websites or any Twitter handles that you want to share with any of the fans? I don't know how many fans we still have on this late in the night for our show.
Face with everybody at some point, face to face, instead of doing this. So
you still sore?
Face to face.
You still sore from February?
I'm not sore from February. I'm just
the hell you're not. You're still.
I tell her like it is. Fuji. Just like you.
No, I tell her like it is.
There you go. I'm sick and tired of all the BS. about
Anytime you want to debate,
go
I'm
back and
ready.
look at it. Hey, look, Fuji. Ray Lewis himself said the way the end of the Super Bowl was called, he doesn't even want to watch football anymore because he doesn't. It's sickening. It's sickening the way it tailors the offense. And I'll say this: other than Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers, do you think any quarterback or team would have gotten those calls? Tell me I'm wrong.
We're gonna have to analyze this.
Right.
We're gonna have to analyze this on a future show. We're gonna have to pull up the Super Bowl, the YouTube video, and watch from like after Kansas City scores the touchdown or the field goal at the end of the half, and then we're really gonna need to analyze that Tampa Bay drive play by play to see who's right, who's wrong, and try to be objective as possible.
Oh, I have so many plays where Tyrann Mathieu got beat.
No, but I'm talking about specifically the end of the half because Kansas. Go ahead, Pollo. Pollo, go ahead.
Yeah, the only thing I can say about the Super Bowl is that, okay, we're talking like outside of the team, okay? We're worrying about those things. But Brett Beach, the general manager from the Chiefs, he wasn't worrying about that. He saw a problem, and the problem was the defensive line, okay? And it wasn't just the pass protection. It was the running game. And it wasn't just the running game. It was the goal line offense, okay? So that was the focus point in the offseason. And Brett Beach went in the offseason very aggressive, and now he has not only one of the best offensive line in the books. We have to see them, to watch them play with some chemistry because, you know, offensive linemen, they need to play maybe a season or two to play very good with each other. So Brett Beach maybe is killing three birds with one stone. And like I said, the passing game, the running game, we saw in the Super Bowl, the biggest problem for me, it was that we didn't run the ball against 5 or 6 in the box. You saw them, and Andy Reid was like, I don't know if it was like egocentric or something, and he was throwing the ball when he needed to run the ball. So for me, that's going to change. We are going to run the ball when the defense tells us to run the ball with light defense, with light boxes, I mean. And in the goal line, we had so many gimmick plays. We run horizontally. That's not the way to run an offense in the goal line. You have to score vertically. You have to score mano a mano. You know, you have to move the man in front of you to create a little hole to score a touchdown. That's not the Chiefs in 2020. I hope that's the Chiefs in 2021. That's going to change everything in the offense. That's going to be real scary if you have everybody back there preoccupying for double teaming Tyreek Hill, double teaming Travis Kelce. Well, okay, Edward Helaire, go run the ball. We have now some maulers in the upfront, and we're gonna. I really think the offense is going to be really different with that offensive line.
Michael, I think you're on mute.
Okay. I agree. I mean, what Kansas City has been missing is the fact that you miss a running game. And just like a pass rush, you need a running game to be able to win a Super Bowl. And I agree with everything he just said. If they can get that running game going, which I think in the first 2 weeks they should, get that chemistry going with the offensive line. And I like it. And like I can't remember who said it, but I can't remember who said it, but I agree. Cleveland's not in the Super Bowl. Colts are not in the Super Bowl. I mean, we have so many questions. Pass rush. Can Carson Wentz do this? We have so many questions. So I'm not even close to putting us in contention. It's Kansas City and then everybody else. That's just the way it is. That's fact. It's the reality. But everyone is changing their defense to stop Kansas City. Let's remember that.
Mike, let me chime in and say this, not to interrupt you. Carson Wentz, I think right now is a better running game since, in Indianapolis since 2017. Now that he has
I agree
Jonathan
with you.
Taylor
I mean,
behind him.
just like I started, it's not about stopping Kansas City. It's not about stopping Mahomes. It's all about scoring. You gotta go score and just not cross your finger and hope they screw up, the offense screw up, and hope for a holding call. Holdings are almost a drive breaker. But you have to just go and score. You don't have to go into a game and think how to stop Mahomes. No, go against the Chiefs thinking, how can I score 30, 35 points against this defense? So I'm with you. The defense isn't that great. Its defense is very opportunistic. They thrive when we are winning. When the Chiefs score, they're ahead 7, 10, or 14 points. So they have to score fast. They have to start hot and just cross your fingers so Mahomes comes with an interception or a holding call.
Yep.
Listen, guys, I thank everyone for coming on. There was a great debate. I didn't see that one coming, but that was fantastic. And I think, Michael, that's why we love having you on, because you'll bring the facts, you'll bring the knowledge, and it's fantastic. So we didn't see it from Just Joe. He came on and just came guns blazing, but we love the guy. He means well, so it was a lot of fun. Boyle, same thing to you. And of course we'll reach out to you guys again here, not too far away, because we know that we have. Pretty soon, the OTAs will be coming around, so it'll be interesting to see what the teams are going to end up doing. So that's right around the corner, and then your mini camps, and before you know it, it's July football all over again. So thanks to Chris Sack for coming on from Green Legion, also to the Rough Cut Sports guys, Rough Cut Sports, with AJ, Vinny, Dylan, and Aaron. Boy, of course, Michael, Just Joe. And did I miss anyone other than my guys here? Fuji came in late to the party, but thank you, Fuji, also for coming in. Ryan, thank you, even though he's dealing with a situation over at the bar. And so, Ryan, thank you for coming on. Do appreciate it. So, for Sherman, for Ryan, for all our guests tonight, we thank you. We thank you for tuning in. We do appreciate it, as I'm losing my voice here at 12:36 in the morning. So, thank you, guys. We will see everyone come next week. And next week, we will have, by the way, Joe to camera next Thursday night. So please tune in for that show. By the following week, we hope to have Seth Joyner on. So everyone, have a great night. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. See you.